Plat Chat, episode 149. We're live. The patch notes escape us. They are nowhere to be found. Maximum disappointment right now. Yeah, a bit of a stalling moment for the live YouTube viewers. I'm sorry to the 300 of you. We were waiting for the patch notes to drop for the playoffs because we were thinking that it would drop with the Halloween event. Turns out the Halloween event goes live in 40 minutes. So if there are any patch notes today, maybe they'll drop in 40 minutes. But now also when we're live, maybe they'll actually drop them because we're live now.
It's true, they're waiting for us. They always do that. They're so kind.
So yeah, we'll see. Obviously, wanted to set the stage here with patch notes. Be like, yo, there's gonna be a huge playoff tournament. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be awesome. What's the meta? What are the heroes they'll be playing? We don't know. we don't know that information, so we can't make a playoff bracket prediction yet. Can
we make a wild assumption to watch the patch notes are gonna be?
We always do that anyway. Yeah, just make wild.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yes, we do every week. What do you mean?
Well, no, I was
not every week.
I think we'll just use the leaked patch notes and just run with it.
Just make an entire playoff episode based on leaked patch notes.
It's not my fault. We're fucking 4 days out from the event, Johnny, and we don't have patch notes. And because it has not been argued against by anyone in the community or anything like that, it is likely to assume that they are somewhat correct. The only thing that could be interesting is if they like added something or took something out of the
Junker Queen. Oh wait, no, that's the. I'm thinking of those. The leaked patch notes were the ones with the Junker Queen.
Yeah, Summer Showdown patch notes were leaked or whatever, I think. Yeah, I think there was some controversy about the most recent ones, right? Didn't Yiska make some report and then people were like, well, no, and then yes, and look, it's just nice to have official patch notes. Like literally, the actual thing we'll be playing on 5 days out of the event or whatever. But
yeah,
alas, we don't have that yet. Custa certainly feels a little bit more brave than I do, but yeah. Luckily, we got one hell of a show today. We got a banging show, all right. So we're not in a rush. It's not going to, it's not going to kill the show or anything. We got tons of stuff to talk about. The playoff bracket, knowing this show, will take fucking 2 hours anyway. So we'll be here for the entire afternoon. But also, we got some storylines to talk about. So I can't wait to get into this. This is really producer reinforced at its best. Like I've been in rare form where I wrote these questions. So it's gonna be great. Let's open with a softball first. They announced the talent for the Overwatch League 2020 playoffs, and it turns out it's like the regular season talent almost. Who would have thought?
My favorite caster on there is Seth. Seth casts.
I like the Seth guy.
Yeah, is this like a thing going forward? I need a comment from Seth actually to ask, like, is he just going to be known as Seth but keep his handle Achilleos?
Oh, they trolling him. They're trolling him hard.
They've always been trolling. Is this a light mode Twitter I'm looking at?
This is disgusting.
Disgusting.
I use like a streaming profile, so it's just default settings.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And also, we can have this conversation another time, but people far overrate the impact of dark mode and how good it is. There's only a place.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Why do I want to look at my screen and get blinded every time I look at it?
Flashbang every time I open Twitter with light mode.
Yeah.
No, I'm
like, imagine it's like late at night, you open your phone.
Okay, and now we're immediately getting to the straw man, and we're just taking the examples.
How is that a straw man? How is that a straw man? That's literally a pure example. A pure example of why dark mode's useful.
I said there's a place and time for using light mode as well, similarly to dark mode, okay? So just, when it's evening, when it's 10 p.m., you're browsing your phone because you're emo, yes, dark mode, absolutely, 100% evening when the sun has gone down.
I'm not going to go around changing my settings depending on the day.
The sun is shining, everything around you is just bright and everything. The last
thing I want to look at is
mode. Yeah, it does.
But the dark mode contrast is nice. Yeah.
There are some bad dark modes.
Are you saying that your mood, now granted, I mean, this is not like biologically impossible, but are you saying your mood is so tied to light and darkness that like it must be light mode during the day or else you fall asleep like a parrot?
No, I'm just saying that it's preferred sometimes. It's just preferred when I, for example, want to keep my eyes awake when I don't necessarily want
to be fair,
stare into the darkness.
Going on eye health, you shouldn't be staring at like super bright screens all day anyway. You should have a slight dim on your screen. So like not looking at light mode is probably more healthy for your eyes overall. My main monitor is like
So download Flux or
slightly
something. You don't
darker
have to go
than my other
fucking
one.
full midnight mode.
Well, Flux wouldn't activate during the day because it's based off security.
you can,
capabilities,
you can lower the settings.
but like not. You should have that in the morning when you wake up. You're instantly starting your PC, and then in the evening as you're like going to bed. Like my phone has it too, but like during the day, you know, normal. But you still shouldn't be staring at like super bright screens all the time.
I do night mode and Flux. I do night mode and Flux, so
That's just a lot. That, like, who are you?
it's literally not. I've selected one setting and then I've selected another setting. That's it.
It's too much.
That's too much work.
Eye health, Johnny. We need them.
Eye health. Oh my god! Like if you just sit in a room that's just fucking dark and there's no light around you, you're just like, oh, my eyes, they're operating in dark mode and they're expanding, and that's very healthy for my eyes, and so now my eyes will be better.
Are you trying to say you have to exercise your eyes
No.
with bright light or else they atrophy like limbs?
No, I'm saying that merely I think it's preferred when the sun is out and it's bright and the lamps are on and everything and there's light mode. I find that quite enjoyable because it's just natural with the surrounding environment. Like the white screen, the white user interface matches the environment surrounding the monitor with lights on and the sun being out. Whereas if I just put dark mode on and the sun is out, it's like the contrast. I don't like that contrast.
Okay,
RIP your corneas, bro.
So
I mean,
when it's
whatever.
evening,
I
when
don't
it's
get it.
dark out, I put on dark
Sometimes.
mode because then the dark mode matches the actual like state of the day.
Do you have like OCD or something? Like what is...
Probably slightly. We all have OCD, some form of OCD.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like I don't know. It's a very serious condition for some people. So
No,
it depends.
it's not that serious, you know. But you know, I definitely clean up once in a while. I guess that's my OCD. Anyway,
That's not OCD.
Anyway, I wanted to give a shout out to Amish Shaggy for $22 and Misha Lewis Norell for $10 for giving us money because we're late. Thank you for the $32 because we're late. I appreciate
We'll be
that.
late.
Best
more
job
often.
on earth.
Yeah,
Best job on
Being-
earth, baby.
being
Getting
late.
paid to be late.
they're getting paid
Let's
to be
go.
late. Yeah. So thank you to those two. Are the patch notes out yet? No. All right, great. Here's the talent for North America. There you go. There's some good photos here. You know, Danny in a white shirt.
I don't have that photo of me. I really want it.
No, I don't.
It
I
actually
don't have
looks
that either. It looks like I was just cut from Team Sweden in this photo. It's miserable. Custa looks
That's
like
very
he's
young,
on stage
John.
and he has to take a shit. I don't know what this is about.
It's like, I've never done it at an event, and it is obvious here because I only have a photo of me wearing a fucking
You
Dallas.
have been at an event though.
No, we had
Yeah, you
some
did the Dallas
photos at
homestand.
Dallas.
You did
Me and
Dallas
you had
homestand.
some photos.
Yeah, but with a photographer nearby, right?
No, there
Like,
was. I don't know where those photos are, but there was a photographer.
Yeah, because like
yeah,
I even
100%,
got
yeah,
I
yeah.
even got photos at the San Antonio Battle for Texas event.
So I gotta
Yeah.
find those photos because
Yeah, I don't know where they are.
I've never
But-
seen them. But yeah, I'm still using like my Valiant and Dallas Fuel photos, and you know, even for talent, 3
You
years
look
later.
good on that,
Yeah,
though.
you look good.
You look-
Thanks,
you look
Jack.
good.
I appreciate
You
that.
stand
It's
out.
because it was 5 years ago.
Someone new to Overwatch League is gonna be like, oh, they have a pro player on the desk. Pog.
No
I
way,
mean,
Bob.
being younger doesn't necessarily mean that you look better. Refer to my player photos. Okay, being
Ah,
younger
yeah.
does not make you look better.
Yes. Agree.
So,
Agree.
yeah.
We have a newfound appreciation for actually like taking care of ourselves that I didn't necessarily have when I was a pro player. Anyway, there you go. Wow, poggers.
Epic.
Very epic.
Poggers.
Very epic indeed. All right. So because the patch notes are not out yet, and if they do come out, please everyone in YouTube chat just like link them to us so we can take a look at them. I got some great questions heading into playoffs. So here's what's gonna happen. Okay, when we get to the playoff bracket, that's where I think we'll discuss like all the teams in depth, and obviously, you know, when we actually predict a match like Houston Outlaws versus Toronto Defiant, we'll obviously talk about Toronto Defiant and the Houston Outlaws, and you know what we like, what we don't like, and who we think is the better team and stuff like that. So we'll get to discussing the teams individually. I have some overarching like story questions going into this tournament, setting the stage. What's it in for the players? What's in for the teams and stuff like that? And so I just like, you know, some philosophical, fun questions I'm going to throw your way. So these are my, I think there are 10 burning questions going into playoffs. And I'm so ready to unveil this. So I'll start with a softball. I'll start with a softball for questions heading into the playoffs, okay? So the first one is softball, again, easy. Who will be the best Kiriko? Who are some of our favorite players in the league to pick up this hero that we think are actually, like if Kiriko is like 100% pick rate, some reason there are just like some supports are just maniacs with the critical hit multiplayer and they just like demolish everyone. Who are some of our favorite players in the league to pick up Kiriko and be like standout Kirikos in the Overwatch League Playoffs this year?
I think the obvious answer is Shu. Yeah, that's a softest ball question, softest ball answer.
Siri doesn't like your answer, Johnny.
She doesn't trust. She doesn't like the Fox though. She has it in for the Fox.
What does the Fox say?
Real.
No one remembers that?
Oh yeah.
Damn, I remember that.
I was gonna make the sound. But I was like, am I making the sound? No, I'm not making
you were
the
gonna
sound.
do it?
I mean,
No.
I mean, Shu's a good shout. I think there's a real potential for someone like Violet to have like a pretty good Kiriko.
I also Lucio player.
You know, you got me there. Actually, you know what? You got me there. I forgot about that. I did forget about that one. Finn, probably.
Yeah,
Finn's a great shot.
There you go. Forgot about that one. Yeah, probably Finn.
And Finn's
I
been
think a dark
too,
horse
right?
candidate that if it ends up being played, a dark horse candidate would be like players like Khan and Majed.
Yeah.
Players that have very high,
quite well.
Yeah, they have very high mechanical skill, and this hero is almost undiveable, so thus they can't feed.
Yeah, I think that's really like the crux of it is here. I think it's players who try and play very aggressive and are always trying to squeeze every bit of ounce out of that character, because that's really how Kiriko is played, of like how much are you willing to gamble, because it's about taking the right angles, taking the right things, and you're really sort of overstepping every time you want to get more value. So the players that are willing to take more risks, I think, are going to be better at Kiriko, because if you can get away with it, you are offering so much to your team.
Yeah, and she's also being used, I've been told, theoretically, there's like, people are using her obviously very aggressively, like trying to squeeze that value, like Scott said, but also like there's a lot of coordination with like potentially using her in the dive mechanics. So there is like a lot of coordination and like value to like when you do it, but it's not necessarily like insane micro plays. Or I should say, it's not necessarily like insane, like, oh, we're making this crazy macro play. It's like we're diving and then now our Kiriko's fucking in and like needs to do some like crazy shit. So
where did I read
players
somewhere
that have very high mechanical skillings would be good for her.
That teams are using like Kiriko and Tracer and Echo to like dive bomb with Kiriko.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that. I've heard.
I know about the Echo.
Really, I've heard a lot of dive. Like I think it's important to put a PSA at the start of our Plat Chat. At the end of the last episode, we're like, do we think Kiriko is going to affect the playoffs? And we're like, nah. We were wrong. Straight up. Like after playing her more in ranked, after seeing her in a more coordinated. Yeah, no, I know, it's shocking.
We've never been wrong.
Seeing her in like a more coordinated play, even in ranked, she does a lot of single target healing, and she's just very hard to punish. So I think you will see a lot of Kiriko this playoffs, if not exclusive Kiriko throughout the playoffs.
I think that's
Kiriko Lucio is going to go
factor.
wacky. Like Lucio is pretty hard to pin down as he is, just being how slippery he is. But like Jesus Christ, like using things like obviously Genji's been super meta, right? Using like Genji bait against Kiriko, I'm like, oh, in theory, I'm like, awful. It doesn't actually you don't actually survive for that long. Like immortality doesn't. It's not like Bap Lamp or anything like that. And you're like, holy fuck. Actually, she's fucking hard to kill because you go for one slash, she fucking Suzu's, heals up. And then she comes out, you have to hit her with another one, and then another one, and by the time that, she's fucking run away, or you're dead.
Also, if the Genji has to dash at you, as soon as he dashes at you, you just Suzu teleport away, and then the Genji's just like, he's just fucked, right?
Yeah, oh man, it is insane. Like, not saying I've seen any good Kirikos, but like, god damn, they're like, even like the small plays like that, just save and teleport, you just survive, like so much shit. It's fucking crazy. You need people that actually just stick to her like glue, and Genji is like, you'd think of Genji like that, but he's really not because he needs kills or like a limbs to get the resets. And I think people like Trace is like the easiest thing to take her down with because you can just keep blinking after her. But even then, like, dude, you can't one tap her. Like, there's no fucking shot. Also, I don't know if you guys have witnessed this as well. Her hitbox actually pretty hard to hit. Like, she's quite a thin character, so god damn,
it's like Widowmaker or like Baby Diva in a lot of ways, right? Like Baby Diva is probably a better comparison of like she has such a thin model that she's like very difficult to shoot. So the thing that I think is sort of underrated about Kiriko, that the thing that I didn't expect is just how much her healing of her right click does. Like diving with a Winston is actually extremely viable because you can just follow him and keep him alive almost permanently with the right clicks. And by doing that amount of healing, by pairing it with the Lucio of you are the primary healer, you get Kitsune Rush up a lot. And Kitsune Rush is, as we have all played her and seen,
fucking
incredibly oppressive in the right situation. So I think it's going to be really awesome to see these guys, especially how much damage these players are going to put out, because some players aren't doing any damage with Kiriko. Some players are doing a ton of damage with Kiriko. Like, what are the pros going to be able to do with it while also not getting punished? So it's going to be exciting.
Kitsune Rush makes Zarya bubble, like, you can have like 3 or 4 Zarya bubbles per Kitsune Rush. That's ability haste. It's fucking crazy. Like, Zarya is already fucking strong. We don't know if Zarya is getting nerfed, right? Is Zarya nerfed in the leaked patch notes? Is that a thing?
Yes, I haven't actually read the leaked patch notes, so I don't know.
Zarya did get nerfed into the ground. Her bubble only lasts 2 seconds instead of 2.5, and the cooldown of her bubble is 1 second longer.
Yeah, so like that's not in the game right now, and if it is, hypothetically, like, it makes it a little less viable in Kitsune Rush. But like current Zarya with Kitsune Rush, you can't kill anybody because she just goes bubble 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 bubble, and the whole team's just immortal, and you're like, well, I can't do anything.
I just can't wait to see the amount of Winston bubbles we'll see in the Kitsune Rush. That's gonna be epic.
Jumping too. Winston's fucking leap. He can just be like a fucking frog.
Gonna be a lot of Winston jump, guys.
Yeah, Winston's very good against Kiriko as well because you can't heal or throw a Suzu through it. Which is like a big deal for the dive. So I think that's probably primarily why you'll see a lot of Winston as well.
It seems like this meta is going to be really funny. Doesn't miss, so Kiriko hitbox, not a problem at all. I'm really looking forward to this meta. So, short list, as we said, probably like Shu, Finn. I'm gonna shout out like Houston Outlaws and Atlanta Rain backlines. I think.
Can I say Izayaki? I want to.
I mean, the thing is, like, there's like a million flex supports. It's just we didn't have time to go through every single. There's so many good flex supports at this point that like it's tough to.
I just wanted to open the floor to some Kiriko conversation, and we got it. But I need to move the show along because we got a lot to get through. So there we go. Here's a more theoretical one. All right, and I don't know the answer because I'm isolated to Overwatch, and all I follow is Overwatch. If Proper wins MVP and the San Francisco Shock, they win the Overwatch League 22 playoffs. Is it one? Oh my god, this was way too long. Is it one of the best rookie performances in esports?
Johnny, you don't need to put an essay in the current topic section.
Maybe if you made I did
to producing the show and being talented. I'm not perfect. All right, I'm sorry. All right,
Johnny, I think I'd read this better if you made the topic bar light mode. I think I could read this better.
Oh yeah, true, dude, true. Yeah. It's proper good. There we go.
All right. Anyway, who does this compare to? All right, Proper. If he wins MVP, it seems likely, and like they win the tournament itself. I don't know. I haven't followed League of Legends. I haven't followed CS:GO. I know there was a time when like Simple like blasted onto the scene and just like fucking went crazy with everyone. There's like that. There's another one as well who's a bit younger, a younger player in CS:GO who's just like crazy with it too. SEOUL, I think his name is. I don't know how successful he was. But if there's anyone who knows other esports, meaning not me, I want to just have the conversation. I just want to see like how that would compare to other esports, because other esports necessarily like League or whatever, like they won't give Overwatch League the time of day to have this conversation because they don't give a shit about us. But as an Overwatch fan, I think it's interesting to like put that into the perspective and like how Proper's rookie season compares to some other esports. So here we go.
I like your optimism. My answer is no. Like Proper, like when you are comparing him to the greats like Faker, like Simple, and those kind of players, those players are heads and shoulders above their competition, and they've been doing it for an incredibly long time, and that's what makes them great. Proper's had a great season. This could be the beginning of that type of legacy, but he is not even close, in my opinion, to like being an esport great.
I think Johnny's question though is more, is this the like year one? Is this the greatest rookie of year one? Not like over the history of time. But I do agree with Scott actually. Still, regardless of like how the question is worded, especially when you look at people like Faker, 2013, because he was on SKT the whole fucking time. But like he actually transcended the game. Like straight up, even in his first year, he just came out with the most like ridiculous domination. And again, it's hard to say because every game, like it's so varied on how like your impact is felt within the game. And I think Proper has had some of those levels of performances and had like an unbelievable impact, but he's not. I don't think he's at a point where he's transcended the game within like a year. Yeah, that would be my take on that. I can't really name any other games, to be honest with you, apart from League, because I used to cast it. But like, yeah, I don't think he's close to where Faker was when Faker had his like rookie season in LCK.
Yeah, people Simping COD and like Sumail in Dota are like good examples of like people who are like young, came into the game and like I guess just dominated it over a period of time. Like, but it's just like, yeah, as Jack summarized, like maybe in the future, like if he keeps it up, like especially if he wins MVP in the first season, like that's a great start to a resume. But like if you asked me who was being the most dominant player in Overwatch, it would still be Prophet, like by a pretty good margin, just because of the duration and the length of time he's had that dominance.
Yeah.
Someone said
where proper fit.
Yeah.
All right. Someone said Topson as well. I think that's a good shout. Topson had like a combined winnings of like $15,000 in Dota 2 for like a year of like doing tournaments, and 10 grand came from a group finish in like World Electronic Sports Games. So WESG, that's a classic tournament. And then he just won the TI for $11.2 million. So, you know, that's a pretty good swing there. Just like, if you go to his like Wikipedia page, it's just like his first achievement in his entire career is first international, which is like, oh, all right. And then he won TI the year after, so just back-to-back TIs off the bat. So that's pretty impressive. Topson, of course.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to Proper too, because wasn't he also on a good tier 2 team, like one of the best with O2 Blast? Yeah. So like he didn't even. It's not like he's some unknown. He's not like, whoa, new player just dropped. Like it was, everyone fucking knew who Proper was coming out of tier 2. Like it is not like an unknown name.
A player like that is actually Vindame. Vindame sort of came out of nowhere, and he just like ended up on O2 Blast, did really well in O2 Blast in 1 year, like got a bunch of firsts, and now he's playing for Seoul Dynasty.
I mean, I would say someone
the title
did it before that even, and his name is Skewed. Maybe someone else.
Skewed came out of left field.
Skewed literally came from like a doo-doo doggy bad team in Contenders Korea, and then everyone's like, holy shit, this is the greatest. Didn't even play sports, and this is like the greatest Brigido I've ever seen. So like I think Skew did it before Vindam even. So like it's like I mean there are a couple players that I think that are like that follow the meteoric rise. Like for example, the current best player in Valorant, Ye, is what people kind of unified on, is that like he was on like a pretty mediocre North American Valorant team, and then he's just like, holy shit, this guy's the best player. So like but I don't think Proper fits that mold, because he was like more hype Sparkle. Like when Sparkle came of age and was coming out of Korea, everyone was like, holy shit, we need Sparkle, we need Sparkle, we need Sparkle. And then Proper came out, and that was like that on meth. So
someone said Jonak. Jonak came out of nowhere too, just scouting.
Jonak would be a pretty, but that's once again like that's also like he had an incredible first season, redefined support, and then had very solid seasons following that, but nothing that like redefined the game. Yeah. Right. So.
Yeah, but if you want to talk about rookie experiences, Jonak is certainly up there. And again, I'm not asking this like someone who's arguing this. I'm just like putting up the question because I think it's interesting. And you know, if you win MVP and playoffs in your first year, that's very noteworthy and comparable to some other people. So
sure,
I think they'd have to win grand finals for him to be like on that first step, the first rung of the ladder.
Even be in the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And if he does end up doing that, and then next year he comes in again and just like fucking blasts everybody away, then it's like, okay, like holy shit. I think year 2 will be kind of a defining moment for Proper in the way that he could be like, you know, sit on the Bonjour throne, you know, like maybe one day. But right now, yeah, I think he's getting there. Yeah. But like, I think what Connor said, him already being a known quantity is kind of puts it down just slightly.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it mitigates the skill. It's just like obviously not like some unknown.
But it's not like whoa, holy
player.
Shit! Like transcending the game. Yeah.
Like he's obviously still like very, very good. I personally like this segment a lot too, because this is going to increase our engagement significantly with all the people that are like hired the talent talking about Proper. So this is why I personally like this.
Make sure to leave a comment below about how much you hate how much we're talking about Proper.
No, but this is literally okay. This is how you do sports talk, all right? Because
you don't have to justify it, Johnny.
What's gonna happen is
no, Johnny.
You don't have to justify it. Don't worry about it. Don't justify it.
I'm just explaining the thought process. You know.
The next topic's how much we hate Kevster, right?
Yes, sure.
Thank God we're getting to that topic.
We're actually going in a different direction than that. We're gonna get engagement from this one too. All right, there's so much engagement in store for this episode. All right, here we go. We always talk about the Houston Outlaws, all right? We talk about the Houston Outlaws.
Oh God.
There's tons of potential here. You know, the Houston Outlaws, good regular season. What, they got top four in A, stuff like that. But these guys, they always bomb out of the tournaments, you know, like they're not they can't win, you know, in a tournament bracket, stuff like that. So I'll just put it out there before we even get to the tournament, all right? Where does the Houston Outlaws have to place for us to be like satisfied? Be like, okay, Houston Outlaws, they came into the playoffs, they gave it their all. That's a good result for them. I'm happy with where they are. So we don't get into this like muddy thing where it's like, oh, they didn't fulfill their potential, you know, they're disappointing in the playoffs. Let's just get it out ahead of time. Let's set our goals, you know. How far do we need the Houston Outlaws to go in the playoffs to be like satisfied with their performance? Top 4? Top 6?
I'm going to go top 6. I think top 8, you can be content. But I think top 6 is where I think I'd be like, I would stand up, give them a bit of applause and be like, you guys did it. Because like if they finish like 8th, it's like that's great, but all you really did was get over like the first round, right? That means that you got through one. Yeah. They got through one round again, which is like fine, and it's still like good for them in a way, but like they have higher sets. Yeah, lower bracket quarterfinals. I think if they can make it there, I think I'd be content.
Okay. I have wildly different expectations for them heading into playoffs than I did throughout previously, because if the meta shifts away from off tanks, this team might be turbo fucked.
Yeah, that is the fear.
like the thing is that like I can't measure Houston with Dante as tank player as the same with like potentially Doge playing. Now, there is a glimmer of hope for that. Doge only got to play one match. It's very hard to judge one player off of a single match. And like on top of that, if he would play in playoffs, he would have no ping, right? Or at least reduced ping. So
is Doge in NA for this event?
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm assuming they're bringing him over. I mean, he was in Toronto. He was in Toronto. I met him in Toronto.
Oh, was he? Okay, so
yeah. So like he was there. So they have the capability to bring him.
Maybe it's a thing we can go to Toronto, but like maybe going to the US is harder.
US is a different beast to Canada. For sure.
Yeah.
So
I don't know exactly.
That is our answer. We don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing. So like I legitimately don't know what to do with Houston. Okay, I'm just gonna put my base. Let's just assume. I'm gonna assume this is Dante tank Houston. Nothing else has changed. Dante tank Houston top 6. You want to see top 6?
Yeah.
If Dante tank Houston does not get top 6, I think this team has 100%. Like you can solidify it as like this is choke city, choke city, bitch, 100%. So. That's what I'll go with. Now, if the meta shifts so drastically where Dante's no longer a tank player, or Dante, God forbid, they have Dante learn like Winston or something.
I think it's very likely we see Dante Winston.
Then I will.
Yeah.
And if Dante, and I'll put another caveat. If Dante pops off in Winston, I don't care. For the first time ever, I'm putting out a secondary MVP vote, and it's Dante. Secondary MVP vote. If Dante learns Winston, I don't give a shit. Like I'm putting out a secondary informal MVP vote, and it's gonna be Dante. So like if Dante learns it.
I agree.
I think it's pretty reasonable.
I agree with it's my thing and fear for the Houston Outlaws. So let's go under the precursor that we're like Winston, Tracer, Kiriko is going to be meta, right? Like that rough look. If that is meta, then it's like Genji's also dead with the patch notes, which is one of Pelican's best heroes. So unless Echo is very prominent, like you said, Avast, it's like. It's going to be difficult. They're literally, a lot of their players are going on to heroes that they can play. It's just not ideal for the Outlaws. So it would suck if the meta just shifts away from them in a hard way.
All right, there we go. Houston Outlaws, top 6. And if it's Winston meta, well, we'll forgive them. We won't be as hard on them. You know, we're not going to sit there and argue about the Houston Outlaws anymore. So there you go. Now you have the goal defined. So we don't worry, Outlaws fans. There's your goal. All right. Next up. You know, I think we talked a lot about this season, the London Spitfire, how great they've been in the regular season, how much they've achieved so far. But speaking a bit more about individually, the players themselves outside of the London Spitfire, do we need to reevaluate the way we think about these players and where they fit into the league and how good these players are? Because London Spitfire as a whole, we can talk about them being great, you know, what they've done in the regular season, you know, how fantastic they've been. But if you isolate the players, say London Spitfire, they are no more. Say they just like refurbish their roster for next year. They just like completely, they go all Korean, pick up, I don't know, contenders people. Who cares? And then you're like, well, what team should pick up Backbone? What team should pick up Hadi? you know, Sparker. Does Sparker belong on like the Shock? Probably not. But that is what I'm looking to sort of like discuss here. When we talk about the individual players of the London Spitfire, how good are they? And like what tier do they sort of belong in? So we can start with Backbone. Like the Backbone, he has a formidable Overwatch League player, great flexibility, played so many different heroes. Like, do we consider him like if Backbone was added to Houston Outlaws tomorrow for some reason, would we be like great fit for the Houston Outlaws? Do we need to show some more appreciation for the individual players on London Spitfire and rate them higher?
I don't think Dude, I can't see any of the London players playing on anything but London at this point. I don't know. That team is just so like unique in the way it's been built, you know, for the budget and shit, which is always quite funny. But I think the way that they've performed this year, I can't see any of those players like moving on to other teams, to be honest. I don't know about you guys.
Well, you could certainly see them on Vancouver Titans, for example. If any of these players went to Vancouver, you'd be like, yeah, you know, I could see them being on that team.
Sure.
But
sure, yeah.
Is there another step of appreciation? We need to go up from Vancouver Titans to the like Houston Outlaws, Atlanta Reign, Toronto Defiant, like mid-table teams, because they are mid-table. Or do we just say that it's a great system with a great coach and like?
I mean, technically, with their regular season finish, they're beyond mid-table. Fact.
Yeah,
they
are.
They're actually better than mid-table. So I mean, I actually think I will 100. Well, the thing is, I'm not gonna fully admit that I was like. Now, once again, Plat Chat, we can admit we're wrong here. Okay, we can
from time to time.
From time to time we do that. Now people like to misrepresent us to make us look wronger than we are, and I'm gonna say that's a hit piece, and I'll be suing you. But secondly, this team was not it wasn't the same London Spitfire that was turbo ass, right? Like this was not Ripa. There was not Kellex on the squad. They also picked up some mix and match some other pieces, but mostly like they changed their support line. You got Admiral, who was a known like good quantity from EU. I don't think my opinion on Admiral changed at all. Admiral I knew was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Like he's a solid player coming out of Europe as a main support. Like my opinion has changed. Landon, I'm like, okay, like that's an interesting one. He kind of was like, I wasn't expecting him to be as good as he was. So I think Landon's been really impressive. Barker was good the previous year, but I didn't know if I really like believe, and I think that was just because of how poor they were as a team. But Sparker has clearly shown that he is a top tier DPS. I could see Sparker going other places. I could see Admiral going other places. I could legitimately see everyone on this team except for, honestly, the only one person I'm like wary of is like there are two is like Khan and Backbone. You see every other player potentially finding a new home, because Khan is like, once again, an extremely talented player, but I just haven't been really impressed with his game sense typically. So that's like, you could find better options potentially. And then Backbone is like the first player ever to beat the silly hero allegations. Like, I think he's literally the first one ever to beat the silly hero allegations. Like, when I first saw Backbone, I was like, what the fuck? This guy's like playing May and shit. Like, I'm like, what is happening? He played Genji and it was like really kind of cheeks initially. And then he played Sombra, and I'm like, oh, I wasn't really impressed with the Sombra. But then he's played more of it, and not only does it make like really good, but also like his Genji, I think, improved. I think his Sombra got a lot better too. And also they like very much value him supposedly as like someone that's like kind of like a presence in the server, like comms wise. So I don't know. He's an interesting case because I don't necessarily think I view him as like very top tier outside of like a couple of heroes that he plays traditionally, but it's clear that he's like a valuable player in the server. So it's tough to know how that's going to slot in, but like the rest of them, I'll be like, okay, like I could see Sparker for sure and Admiral for sure, like finding like other teams, because main supports are scarce and like really good hit scan players and like DPS players are always very valuable. And then Hottie is like main tank player that is good on his picks and like kind of mediocre on the rest of it. So he's like, but there's other main tanks that are like that too.
Sure. So. But yeah, it's just like a bit of an exercise here, because I think we gave a lot of credit to the team, London Spitfire. But after this season, and I mean, I might be going too far here, but I want to like show a new appreciation and like put it out into the world that like a team like Florida Mayhem, for example, their damage players are XC, Hydron, and Checkmate. If they got like a Backbone in there to play like those silly heroes, like I wouldn't I'd look forward to see how that goes. Like maybe the Florida Mayhem could use sort of like a backbone to like fill in maybe some of the inefficiencies that Checkmate has some of those heroes.
I think so. Checkmate and his hero pool is pretty close.
It is pretty close, yeah. But it's an example of like, I think he could slot into that team, that level of play and that level of ambition. And similarly, like if the Houston Outlaws, if they replaced Doge with Hadi, and maybe if like Merit and Pelican, I don't know, left after this season, and we're replacing Merit with Sparker, I'd be like, all right, this is interesting. Like, I'm looking forward to see the Houston Outlaws. Obviously, replacing Merit is very difficult because incredible player, but that's sort of like, I want to show an appreciation for the individual players that I feel like we haven't really done so far this season. So
yeah. I would say for me, I think the only like hot property player on that team, in my opinion, is Sparker. Like, I think he is the big player for that team. I think if you put him on an incredibly good team, I think you would see him elevate in a lot of ways. Well, I think a lot of other people, as Avast said, are just probably inflexible in a lot of ways to be able to play all heroes at the highest level. When you have players like Pelican, Proper, and that kind of stuff running around the league, I think it's hard to like rank some of these other players like against those kind of guys.
I think in a hard Lucio meta, Admiral is like someone you can slot into another team, but like he has to be like that sort of meta, right? He's not going to be like a Chorong or a Chio or anything.
And that's how I feel about Backbone and Hadi as well, right? Like in certain metas, they are great players, like, and they are things, but I think they just struggle with a little bit of flexibility. Maybe they have it in them, like we didn't see that in Backbone until we did. Maybe they have more flexibility than they've shown, but they've been very resistant to playing other things and meta, and there's probably a good reason for that.
Yeah, I agree. They've great on the roll, like, but the only one that has truly shown flexibility is like across metas are like. And the thing is, have they really shown flexibility when you think about Sparker? Has he really shown flexibility across a variety of metas? If you really think about how many heroes he's played,
but that's kind of like the hit scan role.
That's hit scan role, right?
Tracer,
Exactly,
right? Yeah.
Exactly. That's just the hit scan
Tracer,
role.
I think.
Yeah,
he's played Hangzhou, I think overall, like, I think Sparker's a bet, but I think like if you really should talk about like real flexibility, it really would be him and Backbone as the two most flexible, consistent, like flexible players on that roster.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Next question. We do a lot of talking about the Hangzhou Spark, how they're miserable, how they suck ass, how we hate this franchise, how they're just the peak of frustrating watch when it comes to the Overwatch League. But there's an opposite side of that coin, all right? We're really good at hopium on this show. We're really good at hopium. So I'm going to ask the question to set the record straight, similar to the Houston Outlaws almost. Best case scenario, everything goes right. All right? I don't think the Hangzhou Spark are going to win the entire thing. But what is the upper boundaries of the Hangzhou Spark? If they come out all guns a-blazing, firing on all cylinders, what is the peak of the Hangzhou Spark in the Overwatch League 2022 playoffs? How far can they realistically go if they absolutely just pop off? Top 3?
Grand finals.
Grand finals?
I think it is in the realm of possibility as well. If we end up in a Winston, Sojourn, like Tracer, Lucio, Kiriko meta, there's a world in which they're very fucking good. With how well Pineapple is playing on that Tracer, Gushue can play on his Comfort Winston. As long as the backline is really my question in that whole scenario. But if you say that everything is going for them,
everything is going right.
We saw it in the midseason madness. There is a world in which they could just go stupidly far. They have Changun as head coach. It's not going to happen. So,
Seoul Dynasty had Changun as coach and popped the fuck off as well.
And now this is the first year we've ever seen them be good with like great players. So that is my point. They have great players. They have good meta theoretically for this right now. They're gonna fumble. I bet. Okay, here's my wild tinfoil hat. In their first series against the Shanghai Dragons, they're gonna come out on Rush. For no reason at all. They're just going to play Rush. It's the most Hangzhou Spark shit that'll ever happen.
You're such a doomer, all right? This is hopium.
I am. I have been burned, Johnny.
This is best case. They come out on the meta. They look amazing on the meta. And we're talking about the individual skill and the upper boundaries of Shy. All right? They come out and they do everything right. Like, they're charming you. Like
it's also Pineapple.
Pineapple.
Like,
they come out and they just like speak to you like a mermaid, Custa, and they're trying to like convince you to like jump into the ocean, the Hangzhou Spark that was promised. All right.
I'm resilient. I've heard this song too many times.
Yeah, I think you might be on track. You might be on crack, maybe. I mean, like, who do they face? They face Dragons, and then they face the
Dragons,
loser
and let's
of
say,
the
I don't
shot
think
game, right? There's no fucking way.
Yeah,
well,
so,
I don't know, actually. That shot game's actually, so, like...
You think they're playing shot?
No, what? No,
it's whoever shot. No, he said loser.
Loser of the shot game. So they lose to Dragons, let's say. They go lower bracket, right? Round 1.
All right.
And then who wins Rain versus Mayhem? Let's say Rain. I think that's more of a safe bet than Mayhem in that situation. And then they face the loser of Shock Rain. They're going to face probably Rain, I would imagine. Just this is obviously a hypothetical. I don't fucking think they make it past loser bracket round 1. Maybe they get to round 2. You think they're going to be able to beat Rain?
You're a hater. What is this shit? Like, I understand.
Dude,
like,
I agree.
I'm a doomer to the Spark for the wrong reasons. There is no way they go out first round.
No, well,
unless they play Rush. Unless like Doomer comes to full circle and they actually just don't play the meta or like anything good for them at all.
What I think is interesting, Scott, is because, yeah, if the meta is the Sojourn, Winston, and shit like that, holy fuck, everybody's on their, like, good heroes. But then at the same time, I say everybody, then at the same fucking time, who the fuck are they going to play in support? Who? I mean,
they
Super Rich.
They played
Super Rich
Teru, and it was actually pretty good. And if Teru we know is a good player, mechanical player.
He is a good player.
And he can play Genji, and he used to be a DPS player. So if someone's going to pick up Kiriko at a very quick level, it actually could be someone.
Yeah.
How is Kiriko relevant? How is Kiriko the same?
Because projectile. The projectile. Yeah. The projectile, the wall climb. You used to play a lot of Mei for Titans as well. Like,
dashing,
I kind of like that does make some sort of bullshit sense. But like, I just don't see it, man. I just don't fucking see it.
I don't care if you don't see it. That's not the point of the conversation.
What was the point of the conversation?
The point is, how far can they go?
Their peak is lower bracket round 1, Johnny. That's their fucking peak.
That is just absurd.
What do you mean? That's the question. I'm answering it. I'm giving my logic.
You think that there is zero way, if this is Hangzhou Sparks meta, that they win even a single match in the playoffs?
There's two scenarios here.
They beat
I think they're going to lose to Dragons.
Wait, did they? I think so.
Dude, you're just spewing this information. Let's go check it out.
So they lose to Dragons. They go to lower bracket round 1, and then maybe they play Rain. Like I said, this is a little bit up in the air, that one. But like maybe they play Rain. Unless Shy
Soul Dynasty,
massive.
That was
dick.
now. I remember that. That was a troll game. That was a troll game from Dynasty.
It was a troll game.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They beat Soul
lower
Dynasty.
bracket round 1
with Pineapple playing Tracer, with Shy playing Sojourn. Literally, what Johnny is saying.
Yeah, look, Shy has to come out big dicking, like,
and he will.
Fucking
He's gonna swing it around.
Okay, but what happens? What happens? So here's my question about this too. Like, I personally think not all the time, but I really like their looks with Bernard, and like we're putting them with like Hard into Goushway potentially, which I mean makes sense. But I really like Bernard's like presence in this team at times. In addition to that, like if Echo is hard meta, like who like are they just gonna try to force the Tracer full time into the Echo?
Yeah, the Echo is really the thing that throws a wrench in like everything that I'm thinking about.
Shy Echo. You guys remember last year?
They actually
had
I mean, Pineapple can play so
They beat the Shanghai Dragons with Shy Echo. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. But in general, I would rather have Shy on Sojourn than have an Echo meta.
But Pineapple, wasn't he a hit scan player before he played mostly Tracer? He played a lot of hit scan, right? Previously contenders. So theoretically, Pineapple could pick up. Yeah, he played like Ash, Widow, and stuff like that. So couldn't he theoretically pick up Sojourn?
Yeah,
theoretically.
So I mean, like, I don't know. I don't think I actually do think there is potential for the Spark. The problem I have with the Spark is that it would make me irrationally angry. Because like it would be like Justice or like when Dynasty lucked into that meta in like 2020 with the hog shit. Like I was like that. It just makes me irrationally angry because, and that's the thing is what I'm scared about is because you don't understand Chengun. It's not about what he brings to the team normally. It's about when there's a gigantic magnetosphere shift in the meta that Chengun does something teams and they just. And I don't think he actually does anything useful. I think it's more like an aura thing. Like he aura powers them up when the meta shifts drastically and they just go on some ridiculous run. That's what I'm worried about for Spark. And it would make me irrationally angry. It would make me upset. This team doesn't deserve to do that well based on their previous performances. But if the meta shifts enough, they have the player talent to do it. And they have the Chengun like polarizing, like the lodestone to like fucking channel that meta shift, they could do it. Like the hero roles, I don't think it like they have Bernard, they have Gushue, the tank. They have a support line that makes sense with Super Rich, with Lucio, and then like Teru, or theoretically Irony, but probably Teru. I think it's there, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But I think it's possible.
Someone said
where they could go to like upper bracket maybe.
Someone said Alfie can play Echo too. So yeah, I'm just
true.
ignoring all the Dubium and just like they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. I mean, but I do think they could make it.
People are saying patch notes.
The patch notes just dropped, but there's no like.
There's no hero changes on it. That's what I'm looking at.
Bug fixes.
All right.
Mod check, patch
back to competitive play. Let's go. Torb's back, baby.
All right.
Mod check, patch notes.
We have some more questions to get through, so we're gonna finish the questions and then we'll do a vibe check afterwards. Okay. I got some good ones coming. All right.
Johnny's just trying to get us answers.
All right.
I like this.
Do we want to head into one? Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. Here we go. All right. This is gonna be a fun combo. SEOUL Dynasty. A lot of talented players on that team. They're all successful. It's a bit of an all-star lineup right there. You know, Prophet, the greatest of all time, many would say. You know, he's won an Overwatch League Grand Finals. He won the first one in 2018. He got second in 2020. They also have another great player on their team, Smurf, who's a two-time champion, 2019, 2020. And you know, there's some talks about how much was he involved in the 2022 playoffs. He had a great 2020 season, okay? I don't want to hear it. But the question is, if SEOUL Dynasty wins the playoffs and they claim their title, who is the greatest of all time in the Overwatch League?
It would still be Prophet.
Is it Prophet with 2 titles? Or Smurf with 3 titles in like 5 years?
Prophet.
It's still Prophet.
Still be Prophet.
Yeah. Still Prophet.
Even if Smurf has 3 titles in which he's been great in all of them.
Okay, here's the thing. Prophet has been carrying even the shitty teams that he's been on and like that kind of stuff. Smurf was surrounded by some of the best players in the world at the time on the San Francisco Shock. That's not me taking anything away from Smurf. He was also one of the best players in the world on that roster. But in my opinion, like Prophet is still the player who I think has had more impact on the teams that he has led to success than Smurf has in that way. But Smurf is a close second. Like if they win, by sure, Smurf is a close second.
I mean, at this point, if they win, Smurf definitely deserves the second best like player in the world, like the second GOAT status. He deserves the second GOAT status because he's like instrumental in terms of shock, hugely like actually beat all the inflexible tank allegations this year. Sure, become a very flexible tank player and play at a very high level, and then getting a 3rd title. Like, because also we run into a risk. Obviously, like achievements are great and all, but like I don't think we should get into like prosperity gospel of like he who has the most is inherently the best, because that's like obviously there is some correlation there, but like, you know, for example, Hureg did pretty good. He had a lot of titles. So like, you know, like there's stuff to think about, I think, when we assign titles to like players. But Smurf has clearly been directly involved, especially if Dynasty wins this year, as like someone that's been instrumental for all of those title runs.
He also had the most play time on the Shock when it came to the 2019 playoffs when the meta shifted. And he also had a fantastic 2020 regular season before Roto became meta in the playoffs. And he was instrumental this year, arguably one of the best, you know, top 2 tank player in the entire world this year for the SEOUL Dynasty. So
100%.
It's not like
he's dominated anytime he has played, he has dominated.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like having the total number of titles isn't inherently an indicator, but like when we actually look and analyze his impact on his teams, it's like he's clearly up in the conversation for a GOAT status if they win, but Prophet's just been doing it for longer with worse teams.
And before Al as well.
Yeah, like Prophet he's just been doing it for ages. Like, you know, like there's no one else really, there's very few players in Overwatch like him that exists. So
all of us, like old guard, like literally me and Avast, we have been washed out for 3 years and he's still challenging for a fucking title, dude. And he is still one of the best in the league. Like that, you have to put so much respect onto that, like of the longevity. Like I can't reiterate enough how hard it is to stay at that level for such a long amount of time and just do it year after year. So like that's why Prophet is my GOAT. Like,
and he's arguably been still remain. He hasn't just like he hasn't even like solidified into a particular like niche either. Like obviously he has like that flex CPS, like, but he's kind of the hyperflex, and he's even played Brigida at points and looked pretty good on Brigida. Like he's still kind of like innovating a bit for himself. which is like crazy. Now, obviously, Smurf did that too this year, where he branched into like Zarya and Diva and such. But like, it probably just been doing it for so long. You know?
Dude, it's so sick to see these two players on the same team. Like, we are actually treated by these two players being on the same team because they are. Yeah, like Winston Tracer meta. Like, we're about to go into a Winston Tracer meta and watch Prophet and Smurf just fucking go ham and just do what they do best, like in the playoffs. And we get to see them go against the best players and these other fucking super stacked teams like the San Francisco Shock, like the Gladiators, like the Dallas Fuel. Like, we're in for a fucking treat this upcoming
Shock
week, man.
Fucking SEOUL, if we actually get that, when we'll get that upper bracket finals potentially. Yeah, so like, dude, that game, that might actually just be one of the best matches of all time, potentially. Yeah.
I feel like this playoffs more than any other playoffs we've ever had. Like, we finally have some fucking history in our backs. We finally have all of these like storied players. And you could make the case that like 2018, 2019, like, oh, we had Apex storylines. Not the same thing, all right? Not the same, all right? We're now here with, how many seasons is it? 4 seasons behind us. And, you know, the 5th, we're arriving at the conclusion. And all these players, they've been around for 5 years at this point. And like, there's so much on the line, historical stuff that we never had the chance to like really digest and like think about. This is going to be a playoff for the ages. I really hope like everything goes well and it's a sick playoffs, because this could be actually amazing. So seems like, to conclude this one, that most of you are saying Prophet still at number 1. If Soldat is the wins, Prophet is at number 1, and Smurf comfortably number 2 probably, because of his success.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be fair putting Smurf at the number 2 if they win.
All right, glad we had that talk. Next up. If Shanghai Dragons wins the championship, you know, they've actually added 2 titles to their franchise name. And I still think there's a tiny bit of like tomfoolery, a bit of memery right there. It's like Avast like to put it, you know, when it comes to their franchise, you know, they were bad for so long and then they finally got good. Is there a case to be made that the 0-42 Shanghai Dragons, if they win 2 consecutive titles and they had a really good 2020 as well in their APAC region, that they overtake the Shock as the best franchise? God damn it, the topic bar, fucking lower third shit. Right. Could Shanghai Dragons become the best franchise if they win the playoffs and have back-to-back Overwatch League titles and a sick 2020 season? And a 2019 when they won a stage even?
No. You can't go 0-42 and then enter into that. They need to exceed the San Francisco Shock, in my opinion, not match the San Francisco, because the San Francisco Shock, you know, they won it 2 times in a row. They were they had a bad year last year, but even then it wasn't the worst thing in the world, right? Like, they were still solid.
Shock in 2018 with Nomi and fucking those guys.
Yeah, but they didn't go 0-42. Like, that franchise, like, you're comparing the entire franchise and that kind of stuff. Like, the Shock at least, you know, won a match in 2018. Like, yeah, it's close. Like, if Shanghai wins this year and then has another great year next year and the Shock starts falling off, then sure. But I think the Shock has had a great year this year as well. And you can't underrate that.
Here's a stats kind of back that up too. I just looked it up. So the San Francisco, actually we'll do Shanghai Dragons first. Shanghai Dragons overall win-loss in series, right? 55%, 104 wins, 82 losses, 55.91. If you want to get granular.
And so the thing is, over half those losses in one season, right?
Yeah, in games. Yeah, exactly. That's 52% in games, like maps, right? 383 versus 349, 52%. So remember, 55 overall and 52 games, right? This is, I guess, the audio fucking listeners now at this point, because Johnny pulled it up. The San Francisco Shock, 70% overall versus the 55, and then 64.5% in games. Holy mother of God, is that a chasm? And like Connor said, those fucking losses in the series were in season 1, half of them. Like, that is fucking stupid. Like, if over 5 fucking years and half your losses in series are from season 1. Like, what? Also, it shows you how ridiculous the league was back in the fucking day with that many games. Yeah. But yeah, I think that's fucking absurd. Absurd.
I think the stats answer it, right? Like Jack makes a great point. Like, it's like, I understand that you can like say that it was just one season, it was just one match, but like,
it's half their fucking losses.
It's half their losses. Like, I think it's hard to say that this franchise is like one of the best the league's ever had after having one of the worst competitive results in any sport history
yeah.
or something like that. Like, I think it's hard to say that they are now the best franchise.
Okay.
They're competing up there. I think it's pretty crazy also looking at how high New York still is, despite going like 4-20.
Yeah,
that's actually crazy too. New York did the reverse Shanghai. They literally did the reverse Shanghai where they were like, amazing, still really good. And then they've just like slowly gotten worse. And then they had like an actual dog shit season.
Titans kind of did the same thing as well, right? Well, like,
yeah, but Titans only did it for 1 year. New York's had a far longer history, right?
That is true. Yeah, that is true. But then New York actually got game wins.
Yeah.
Right, I think Shock, like the stats don't lie with Shock. They just don't lie. Still, though, give it another year, and we can reevaluate this conversation.
We'll give it another year. They'll have to overtake the Shock. I like that. I like that as a.
They can't. There's just no way, bro.
No,
they can't. Like, I'm sure they could
in like titles and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
like if they get like 3 titles.
If they tie them up and then they win next year as well, I mean, at that point you gotta be like Shanghai won 3 out of 6 titles or whatever, you know, and I won 3 in a row. That's
reevaluation. Save the question, Johnny.
All right. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself with the questions. All right, we'll save it for 1 more year. Okay. Speaking of the Shanghai Dragons, there's a bit of a scary prospect with this team. There were some rumors going around a month or 2 ago that this might be the last time we'll see some of these players playing in the Overwatch League. There might be some retirements coming their way. There's no official details. We don't know who is actually going to retire. I think Void was rumored to. But if you look at the Shanghai Dragons roster, the players who they have, who would we miss the most? Who would we want to retire the least on this lineup? I'm certainly, you know, there are so many legends in here, like Void. He's one of the greatest of all time. I think we made our episodes earlier this year talking about the best players of Overwatch 1. Void was up there. I think Void got like top 3 or something of all time. And, you know, it's a bit sad if, you know, this was the last playoffs with Void because he brings so much to the competitive scene. Such an amazing tank. We also have Fled, of course. He's an Overwatch League MVP. Lip, I feel like, is just getting started. Like, he's been dominant for 2 years, but feels like Lip, he has so much more to give and, you know, build his name, stuff like that. Fate has been around forever. You know, he was on Florida Mayhem for quite some time. Jesus Christ. So, like, Fate, what a turnaround for him as well. Who are you? I mean, still fucking showing up on the Genji 5 years later after learning the Kai, stuff like that, right? So, there's so many storied players. Who would we, like, be sad to see leave this team? Who would we just, like... The announcement is out, the pictures, just like, thank you, Void, or something like that. Who would we miss most from this team?
Feels like, I mean, I feel like everyone. I mean, I'm going to tell you one that's out of left field, but I think it would mark the end of like like this is really severing like that old Overwatch connection. I think if Who Are You retired, I would be like, oh shit, it's over, huh? Like, it's it, huh? Time to check me into the retirement home. Give me my walker and my cane. Who Are You's gone. Like, he's like kind of like one of those last old heads, you know? And he's also still not quite like, he's not like GOAT status or anything, but like he's also still, when he's been playing on Genji and shit, he's still really good, you know? So I think I would actually be kind of sad if Who Are You retired just because he's like what he represents for the game, you know? Like that loss of like that, the really early generation of players.
Yeah, for me, it would be Fleta. Like, I think Fleta goes back such a long way in a lot of ways. Like, you know, I played against him in early 2017 in Apex Season 2 when he was on fucking Flash Lux. And I remember
carrying the shit out of that team,
I remember talking to Taimu, like, because we didn't scrim against him going, he said, if you shut down Fleta, you just win the game. And like, that's what we did. And we won. And it was like but like Fleta's like succession through that period of like coming into the league, being that big crux for 2018 Seoul Dynasty, and then eventually winning MVP with the 2020 the Shanghai Dragons. Like, he's had a really cool career, and it's been awesome to see like him play. So if he retired, that'd be really sad for me as well.
Yeah, probably Lee J gone. I think just like an old runaway player. I think would be quite sad. I think we've seen a lot of good runaway players come and go, and yeah, I think Lee J gone would make me a little upset if he did end up retiring.
Yeah, I do agree with the connection with Who Are You and like the old guard like that. That's gonna be hurtful. I feel like Void still, like if Void was to retire, and I think he almost confirmed it or something like that.
He tweeted himself that he's like, this is my last season cheer for me or something like that.
Yeah, I still feel like Void has like fucking done it. Like Void, he's like had a complete, very, very storied and incredible tank career. So I'm very happy with him. Lip, I still like, as I said, I feel like Lip has more to give in a sense. Like he could like, you know, vote for him for Roll Star this year. You know, I feel like he has more titles to win to become one of those like legendary players that we talk about to this day. You know, I feel like Lip really is almost like a new player in that regard because he came into the 2020 season. But he can become like one of those story players that like, oh, Lip has been in the league for like, what, 3-4 years now, you know, in the future. And, you know, he's become such an integral part of the league. Like, I feel like Lip is the player that stands out here that like really could build that reputation for himself. So, you know, it would be sad to see him go. But who knows where it goes. The only reason I posed this question is because we got to embrace this Shanghai Dragons roster. Like, for the past 2-3 seasons now, the Shanghai Dragons franchise has been epic, one of the best in the entire league. And, you know, if some of them decides to go, this is your last chance to, like, really take in the Shanghai Dragons, to really enjoy their gameplay and to enjoy this Shanghai Dragons roster competing. So let's do that. Let's, you know, end it with a bit of a bang and make sure we appreciate the Shanghai Dragons. This is your chance, it seems like. Okay, we got one more question here. We're soon through. We're soon through all the questions. Actually, I'm gonna skip that one because it's matter related. I think we did it all. Okay, one final question. All right, and then we're done with Johnny Silly's question segment. If Dallas Fuel win, can we fucking retire the Circle of Misery meme? All right, it's been around forever. I'm so tired of this shit. I'm so tired of Dallas Fuel fans just being like, oh, poor me, the Circle of Misery. Oh, my franchise sucks. If they win, can we just like abandon it and just like it's a thing of the past? You have a sick roster and you'd be great for 2-3 years now, and we're never going to bring up the Circle of Misery again.
No.
No?
Yeah.
It's kind of something ingrained in their franchise at this point, right? Like if they ever start sucking again, the cycle of misery will like start beginning. It's the same way that like Sadiators still exists, Houston Outlaws still exists. Like they're all good teams now, but they still have this sort of like identity, this negative identity to them. So I don't know. I think it'll always be there. It's a part of their like. It's like a meme that exists within their franchise.
Meme equals funny.
Yeah, meme equals funny. Say the line.
Say the line, everybody.
We should put it in a museum. We should have a museum of memes, and the Dallas Fuel Cycle of Misery can go in there. I mean, you know, the Cycle of Misery I think is almost an artifact, so I don't really have any strong opinions about it anyway. I more have opinions of like, if you're a Fuel fan and you truly do believe that it's still hard to be a Fuel fan, then I don't know, like
I don't think you can be a fan of any other team.
Do you know hardship? Do you know true hardship?
NYXL like fans know true hardship.
Yeah.
And even then, New York, like NYXL fans, like this is really their first. Like last year, they weren't good. Obviously, they were pretty mediocre in APAC, but like this is their first year they were truly tragic, like tragic. So like even New York fans, you gotta have like the old grandeur of the old grandeur of like the good days. Fuel, like at this point, you've been good for multiple seasons in a row, and like really good. So I don't know. I think it's more interesting to talk about like where, in the same vein, Johnny, of like we can retire the Circle of Misery, but like where does it put Fuel as a franchise overall if they have like a great year, like if they win even? Like I'm kind of like, to me, I would say Fuel is like it definitely ascends the ranks after like a very shit first 2 years.
3 years? What do you mean? Like they've been bad for 3 out of about 5 years. I don't like. Here's the thing.
Third year was 2020.
Third year was the Gamsu Zachary.
Yeah,
right?
and it wasn't great. Here's the thing. Either, I think they're a cool franchise because I think they're one of the franchises that has done the most for the league, right? Like, I out of gameplay, I think they've offered a lot, you know, especially with homestands of late. I think they've always been investing a lot of money. They've made great content. They've had a lot of people. Like, they've been a core of the league, which is what I respect. But in terms of pure gameplay-wise, it's only recently that they've really started popping off.
Yeah, I'm just more like, where's their place in overall Overwatch history, right? Like, after
top 5, probably, right?
I think it's interesting. Also, by the way, Sean Miller just gave an update that all the APAC teams have arrived in Anaheim.
I think.
That's nice.
So we are not going to be missing any APAC teams. We'll have them there. We'll do it. Finally, a real cross-regional tournament. Thank God.
Everyone stay healthy.
Everyone just stay healthy, please.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Fuel deserves to like get immortalized in like kind of like how impactful they've been for the overall scene on top of their overall like roster turnaround, right? Like, I think that's still just like they're iconic in that respect. They're not going to be up there with Shock. They're not going to be up there with fucking Shanghai as like the greatest franchises of all time, but they're definitely going to be up there as like some of the most iconic.
All right, here we go. I took a look at the patch notes. There are no patch notes. The hero changes.
But Torb is back in ranked, Johnny.
Torb is back in ranked. I did see fix an issue with control point maps not always correctly transitioning to overtime. I don't know if that's
okay.
To the
Can we talk about that, please? Is that a topic for today? Can we talk about that?
No, it's not a topic.
Jack.
I don't know what's fixed, Jack. I don't know if it's changed.
That shit was wacky. What the fuck was that?
Yeah, and they fixed it. Hopefully.
Okay,
is it that?
I thought it was an intended change, though. That was the thing. I was under the impression it was intended.
I feel like that was one of those things that everyone was like, one person said, the developer said it was an intended change, and then everyone just fucking ran with it. Because if someone has a source of that opinion, then I would love to see it, because everyone just keeps saying, oh, this is what the developers wanted. But I'm like, yeah, but who said that? Like, which developer?
Someone told me in ranks. I shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this is what they
good.
fixed. It might be something tangentially related, but not actually what
No,
they're talking
it's definitely because like it fucking.
Is it definitely? Are you a fucking developer now?
No, I'm saying it shouldn't have been like you have 60%, then you fucking flip because you have 99. You insta win.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. But I don't know.
Yeah,
if
that's
this
what I'm
is
saying.
It.
Did that fix it? We don't know.
That sounds
I don't know.
like the way that's worded. That sounds like it's it.
Hopefully. I mean,
what
maybe.
If the issue by fixing it is that they actually they made it even faster, so it gets the 98.
Yeah, 98, you win.
Yeah,
you just win the game then.
I know it's a bit bright here, but don't worry. If you scroll down, it goes to a darker tone of blue.
Thank
so maybe
you.
Your
Thank
eyes,
you. My eyes.
Thank God. Thank God.
There you go. Yeah. So Torbjörn's been back.
Torb's back.
Play.
You can't overload twice. That was a pretty
cool.
sick bug.
Yeah. There's some fire more than 3 on Bastion as well. So Bastion's back too. That's
dude,
fun.
where are the patch notes? No, the actual patch notes.
Yeah. Like,
what is Big Blizzard hiding from us, man?
I can't believe they're not nerfed Zarya and Sombra shit, dude. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Where is it?
Also, noteworthy, the reason I actually bring this up to begin with is that there's actually, I don't know if you guys know this, you probably do know this because you actually like fucking play this game, but there's a Kiriko like animation cancel, right? Has anyone tried that out?
Oh,
How
I've
good is
seen
it?
that. I don't know if it's good.
Do you guys?
I haven't heard of it, no.
All right, well, there's some
kunais.
YouTube short from some person who's made this, so there's gonna be some audio. Hold on, I don't know if this is gonna work. Here we go. You guys won't be able to hear it, but
it doesn't matter.
You can watch. Maybe you can watch.
We can see
and we'll see. Yeah. So there's some short here. You can animation cancel.
This is her normal healing speed, right?
I got you.
So this is normal healing. You know, you throw some healing out there, heal out the bots.
But I can't reload because my kunai stack is full.
And then
so if let me just use one kunai. If I do that and then I spam reload,
then you reload.
You see how the healing is faster?
That makes sense.
So if you have
animation,
not seen that.
Wow. You guys can tell it's faster.
So if you're out of ammo and you're hitting reload and heal,
so you have to have shot one shot.
No, I don't know if
so
this
you
is
can
a
start
bug,
the reloading
but
process, and then you can
it's just
reload
useful to keep in mind
cancel.
when you're in game.
But you can't do it
like,
if
it
you have full
does
ammo.
increase your healing
you need the reload animation
a little bit.
And I assume that
It's not a
doesn't
loophole.
that
It's
doesn't
actually- it's
reload
just
your
like-
actual ammo, right?
No, it just
makes your heal faster. Yeah,
You just cancel the reload
like
and
so,
wow, that's kind of cool.
I don't know if that's gonna be in for the playoffs or not, but if that is,
it seems like a very small healing increase, right? Because it's like saving like 0.2 seconds on the reload of the heal.
I know. I've been in some games and some Kiriko players have been like, "Oh my god, I'm healing so much! Whoa, the animation was crazy." I don't know what the numbers are.
Okay.
But you know, that'd be interesting to see if that's a thing for the playoffs, where all the Kiriko mains are like fucking
Rico mains
reloading and fucking about. I don't know. So yeah, I just found it interesting that was not in there because it's been out for like a week. You know, on Noob Hunter and stuff like that. So I thought that was like aware. Anyway. All right, interesting. We don't know what the hero changes are, and we're about to predict. Should we just do the bracket prediction based on the leaks?
I'm actually pretty mad.
Yeah, I need to actually read. I actually need to read the leak stuff. I don't know. Can we go overview the leak stuff?
We can definitely.
Let's look at the leaks. So, you know, we gave Blizzard a fair chance for us to not go over the leaks. You know, it's time.
How are there no balance changes in the Halloween patch? I'm saying it. How are there no balance changes?
Because the new Junkenstein event is actually huge. I've been told the Junkenstein event is a 3-hour event that you have to start mythical raiding.
Mythical raiding?
It's a mythical raid, Junkenstein event. No, I'm just kidding. Don't know where the fuck the balance changes are.
They're just releasing Overwatch 2 or Destiny 2 over here.
Nope. But it is different, right? Isn't the Drunkenstein event technically different this year?
It is different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's not what it used to be.
Wow. We did it. We did it.
Oh god.
All right, fuck. I saw them on Reddit. I'm trying to.
I have to get
find
one
the
shot
specials
by fucking Sombro one more time.
now. It's GG Recon, right? Those. Are
Yeah,
the
if you
right
go
ones?
to GG Recon, there you just article.
Okay, well, fucking Reddit is not cooperating. I'll go to Yiska's Twitter instead.
Chat. Well, look to chat. Maybe chat has them.
Chat.
Chat?
I don't think chat can post links, right?
Oh,
I don't know.
Owned.
Can they not?
I will find it. Don't you worry.
Okay. Well, in that case, let's discuss what Switch game should I get, guys.
Advanced
Hey,
Wars
I
when it comes
found
out.
I found it.
Yeah, well, I've been waiting. That's on the list. It's
I
not
found
out
it.
yet.
These are the leaked, not official patch notes, but fuck
Okay.
it. We'll run with it. Oh shit! I forgot to leaked.
These the
patch
nerfs that I
notes.
want to see.
All right.
Oh, and Surgeon.
There we go. Sources have told GG Recon that the following patch notes have been shared with the OWL teams. So we got Sombra, hack ability, lockout duration reduced from 1.75 to 1.5 seconds, so a small nerf to Sombra's manual hack. Hacked enemies are no longer valid targets for hacking the duration of the effect. Hack damage in multiplayer reduced from 40% to 25%.
Okay,
So less
that
damage on
is
the hack
sick.
targets. I'll go
Thank
through them all.
God for that.
Genji, maximum ammo reduced from 30 to 24. All right, so that's a 20% decrease of his total ammo. Shuriken damage reduced from 29 to 27. And someone made like a graphic about like the breaking points with like, you know, right clicks and stuff like that. I don't know how big this is. You know, if you're a Genji main streaming and shit, then you're fucking crying, but who cares? Zarya, barrier duration reduced from 2.5 to 2 seconds. Barrier cooldown increased from 10 to 11 seconds. And finally, Diva, fusion cannon spread increased from 3.5 to 3.75. And boosters impact damage reduced from 25 to 15. Those are the leaked patch notes. So
Fuck Sombra. Thank God that shit's nerfed. That's
yeah,
just so
Sombra nerfed and also Zarya nerfed. And I'd say those are the
Jesus.
two biggest ones. And then a little bit of
Yeah.
Genji in there.
for sure.
Yeah, the
I mean,
Diva
some
one,
Diva, too.
I don't think the Diva one's a big deal. I think it'll just make it harder for you to like insta-gib a 200 HP target, which is good. Like it feels a little ridiculous right now.
You can eat most of your bullshit as well. The
Yeah.
Sombra one's a bit insane. Like oh man, just getting hacked by Sombra and then sometimes you can't even react quick enough, or like you don't have your abilities online to do anything. You're like a BAP or an Ana or whatever. You can't do shit. So yeah, I'm kind of glad. Also, tank player is going to be happy with that too.
Yeah.
I mean, the ranked experience of like the Zenyatta versus Sombra, or even like at some points like even Ana, depending on how good you are, like it's some of the most probably one of the most imbalanced matchups in rank that ever existed was the current Sombra versus like a Zen. Because like if you just got hacked against a semi-competent Sombra player, there's unless you were playing with like really good players, there's no way you're living. There's just no way. Like you were just dead. Like you actually just die. So like and that carried over to like other sports.
And sometimes
like,
if they have like semi-decent aim on Connor's line, you sometimes can't even heal through it as like another support because it takes you like a little bit of a second to react. You're already, the fucking Zen's already half HP and you're trying to throw everything at him, you know? You either have to like try and burn a lamp or whatever. Like, yeah. The only thing saves you in that situation is like a fucking BAP shift. Boop, instant health.
I personally, I don't think honestly, the most impactful thing to me is just the damage multiplier.
Yes,
like
sure.
the hackability lockout, I actually thought the 1.75 hackability lockout is a strategic increase that makes sense to make it a little bit more impactful when you go for a hack on somebody to allow a dive to occur. Because now, like when you reduce the hack duration, all it does is you reduce the damage multiplier. Like it just makes her a lot worse to like get value out of, you know? Like if you want her to be viable, like she can either do a lot of damage or she can disable abilities, right? You can't really have her do both. And I don't know why we once again have adjusted it to where like we've chosen to nerf both things. Like just pick a lane. Just pick a lane and like stick to the lane, you know? That way, like, and I understand like why, because she seemed very strong, but at the same time, like, there's and I'm not gonna cry tears that Sombra's gone. Listen, if Sombra would disappear, I'd be like, you know, like whatever, like I'll live. But at the same time, like I understand, like they put a lot of effort into these heroes and they want their heroes to be played. So I don't understand why they're going for like a nerf across both angles when you should just, like, realistically, if you just decrease the damage she does so she's more of an enabler for a team versus like an assassin, then like that's a perfectly fine change to make. And it's the same thing with like Roadhog, right? Like you have to make a choice. You can either make him tankier, which they did, or you can make him do damage. But what they made him do is they made him tankier with like his changes. So like, and same thing with Orisa. Like she does more damage, sure, but also like more importantly, she's like, they could have made her even more shield heavy and like stuff like that, or they could have made her more brawly and damage focused, which they did, right? It's like she's a disruptor, she does damage, she takes fights. Like you have to pick an archetype. So I don't know why they're nerfing both the archetypes here again. For me, like this is just a wider hero balance issue, but I like that they reduced her damage multiplier. So,
all right, noteworthy, no Sojourn changes in this one right here. I feel like Sojourn has been a topic of conversation for a long time, and I think part of what's so intriguing is that no one actually knows what the fuck to do with Sojourn. Like, because one argument is that like people hate one shots, you know, one shots are bad for the game, and she just has like a ton of them. So people are like, well, get rid of the one shot. And then I think it was Cazores from the San Francisco Shock, which goes like, well, if you remove the one shot from Sojourn, then she's like literally just a different soldier. So like, what are we doing here? You know, part of her kit is that she has a railgun. So 2 ways to go about it. No changes to Sojourn yet. She's obviously overpowered. I think we can all definitely agree on, but we don't really know where to go with Sojourn.
I actually talked to my chat about this, and we were sort of discussing Sojourn she's good, don't get me wrong, but she's not overpowered at lower ranks.
That's interesting.
The thing. That's sort of the big issue is she's overpowered at high ranks, and a lot of the people that we listen to and we talk to and that kind of stuff are higher ranked players. But from what I've heard, in gold, people aren't like, the big problem is like overclock, right? And then they just triple tap all your backline and like one of your DPS and you lose the game. How often do you think that's happening in gold, right? And like people aren't using the mobility effectively that makes her like incredibly strong. So my assumption of why she's not being nerfed is that I think they probably haven't seen her be as impactful at the lower ranks as they are in the high ranks. And that's why she's so hard to balance, is that she's such a high skill hero that it's going to be impossible to balance for the low ranks and the high ranks. So it's going to be interesting to see how they navigate. But also, she's one of the new heroes, and I'm sure they're not upset that she's being played at this point by a lot of people.
I will give a small caveat to Custa's point, because someone mentioned on Twitter last week that we don't really have a fucking clue, like literal clueless about what happens in lower ranks. That was kind of the topic of conversation between a few people on Twitter and maybe the YouTube comments. I don't really read the YouTube comments, to be honest. That we don't really understand, because most of us play at a higher rank, right? So we only really encounter the better Sojourns who have aim, versus like maybe, like you were saying, Scott, is it impactful because people, you know, you'd think have worse aim. So
as I said, this isn't even like my opinion. This is what I heard from other people who are actually in those ranks. Like, so it's like they say she's good. As I said, she's definitely good, but she's not OP in the same fashion that she is a must pick at the GM level.
Yes, and that's where it comes in. Like, obviously, this me looking at one Twitter thread and saying like, okay, maybe we're kind of wrong, but I think taming that back just a little bit, I definitely see the other people. Because we aren't people of the people anymore. We're not Plat Chat for the people, is kind of what the narrative was, which is what I found quite funny. But yeah, I'm not sure of the success rate or like win rates of Sombra, or not Sombra, sorry, Sojourn at like lower ranks and like how effective she is. But you know, I think everybody has their own kind of warped perception of how well she is doing. I personally fucking hate that hero sometimes because she slides around a corner and one shots me, and it feels pretty unfair. But yeah, so I'm just gonna put that out there. That was a discussion topic that people were talking about last week, about how we potentially don't know how people in lower ranks feel because we have not been there, or like we aren't there right now. So, but my thing on the Sojourn is I'm going to put the Jacob Lion hat on right now. He did make a fairly good tweet that I kind of actually agree with. If you removed the headshot on on regular railgun, keep it for overclock, but remove it on regular railgun, because the issue is that she can full speed walk around a corner, unlike Widowmaker, which is slow. And she can headshot somebody, just like whoop, boom, and she can just take someone's fucking head off. I thought that was quite an interesting thing that maybe could be tried, removing the headshot on neutral rail. But like you were saying before, maybe she just turns into a different soldier. But then,
yeah, I don't know. Hard to say. There are definitely some bad suggestions out there, so I don't blame the developers for taking their time. if they feel like, it's balanced in the lower ranks, and then higher ranks is a bit of a problem. So also, don't mind high skill heroes, but if the high skill heroes are like, we kill your entire team in 2 seconds, then that's different
an issue.
Yeah, that's an issue. Yeah.
An issue that compounds that is something like a blue beam. And I have been a big advocate for hating blue beam for a while, and I think
also Mercy is kind of busted in a weird way.
Well, she's busted. We discussed this last week. She's busted in a way because it amplifies a lot of other things. Let's not go into this again. We're gonna get bogged.
There's gonna be a horde of bronze people coming out of the woodwork right now, talking about, we don't know about the proletariat. We're the rich. Eat the rich of SR. They're 100% going to be doing this if we start this conversation up. And also, I bring up a question. Let's just move on from that. But also, like, if you're low ranked and mad at us that we're not low ranked, I don't simply know what to do about that problem. Honestly, I'm not sure what to do about that problem.
We're not a low ranked podcast. We are literally the competitive Overwatch podcast, which talks about the Overwatch League.
Yeah, so I don't know what to do about that problem.
If you're looking for your representation, you're in the wrong place.
I regret to inform you. Now, Zarya. Let's talk Zarya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk Zarya.
That shit's dumb.
Is she done?
Here's what I'll say as a tank player. I think the tanks, with this nerf to Zarya and this slight modification to D.Va, which I don't fucking know, I can't interpret fusion cannon spread in my head. I think the tanks are actually in a really good place, like overall. Zarya was obviously overpowered, she was busted, she was the best tank of them all, and very like well-rounded in that regard. But with this change, I could see us getting into a place where like the meta is not contingent on what tank is the strongest, but like maybe what some of the damage players are strongest. I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like the tanks in general are very well balanced as is.
I think most of them are, apart from Zarya. The problem is the uptime of the bubbles is fucking insane. There's 2 of them, and in 2.5 seconds. Now, obviously, maybe reduced. I mean, obviously, this is leaked patch shows. And it's not even the Halloween patch, I guess, so it's not going to be changed in ranked, right? But I think like current Zarya on live...
Because what's noticeable...
and it's a good thing.
Yeah, with the average energy drop-off is massive. Like, if you're not a Zarya player... how quick you lose your energy if you don't take damage, it's absurd. So an extra half second, especially a half second that people aren't like having their muscle memory, is a huge deal to your average energy uptime and also your protection. Yeah,
I think it's a good thing. This definitely brings her more in line with most other tanks in the game. Her survivability right now is absurd. So yeah, I think it's a good change all around. Not sure if it will like actually dumpster her or not, but I think it's good.
No. Barrier duration is... Yeah, the barrier duration to me is very impactful. It's almost more impactful than the cooldown.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's like
it's reduced by
being able to keep your barrier alive and allow your Genji to like dash in, or like just to take like those really aggressive, or even like those very risky engages / disengages, and having that duration stay up, I think is pretty big. So I think this is a good change overall. I think like cooldown increases are always universally strong. Like that's a universally strong thing, like increasing cooldown, like great. And then the barrier being reduced, I think, is pretty big. I don't know if it's gonna like significantly. I honestly don't know if it's gonna significantly change her at the highest level. I would assume so, but like you're already so tightly coordinated with the bubbles, anyways. Like for your aggressive players and like supports, that it seems like this would be mitigated kind of at the pro level, but I'd obviously have to see how it plays out and feels. But in ranked, I think this would significantly reduce her strength. But at the same time, in ranked, it doesn't really matter because everyone will just play her anyways, probably. Like, people will just play her or D.Va still, Because I feel like we still have a decent enough tank parity to where she could probably still get played.
Yes. Definitely.
But at the pro level, I'm unsure where this leads because you're already working so tight with your bubbles anyways, generally. Like, and how in terms of you time your engages, that I'm wondering if half a second will make like a huge difference. I think it probably will, though. I think this might put some teams to like consider D.Va.
I think if we get into this Kiriko thing with like the Winston and stuff, like I certainly think it makes Winston more viable, like because you can bubble those targets less, and like Winston can probably dive a bit better. Reinhardt is another one. Like if you want to talk about London Spitfire, like I think you can get away with Reinhardt more easily, or Winston for Hadi, for example. So I think it's going to be less of a Zarya meta. I think we're going to see some teams maybe force it if that's their absolute strength, and they are amazing at Lucio, Bap, Zarya. But I definitely think it opens the door for more Winston and Reinhardt compositions. That's kind of where I stand. So looking forward to it. And D.Va is still good, So there you go. Anyway, that's the patch notes for you. Do we want to get into the bracket making? Really.
Yeah, but sort of not really.
Sort of not. They're leaked patch notes. Yeah, they're leaked patch notes. So let's hope that's the real deal, because
we fucking need them. They need
knows?
to be out in the public. Jesus Christ, it's like a week before the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. Overwatch League pick'ems. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything on my script right here. But I think yeah, I think that was it. Predict the player. Here we go. All right. Strap yourselves in. It's gonna be an hour and a half of just talking about silly things about the bracket and the specific teams. Here we go. I've got myself logged in here. Let's make some preds. All right. We were actually right about the Dallas Fuel, right? Winning the Summer Showdown. I think it was only Scott that opposed with the shock, but we were actually correct. Yay! So maybe there's some kind of like trustworthiness, and the people can.
Maybe if you didn't love Proper so much, you would have a good pred. I just can't. I always have to do it every time.
I'm gonna fucking scream, bro.
Every time
I'm so done with it.
All right, here we go. First matchup. Philadelphia Fusion with Zest with a robotic arm. He doesn't have a cast on anymore, but he has some kind of some.
He's gotten stronger. They've altered him.
They've altered him. Yeah, versus the London Spitfire, who doesn't really like to play the Zarya composition that much. So, assuming we're sort of heading into our like Kiriko, Lucio, Winston meta, I suppose. You can interpret the meta however you want, all right? It's up to you. We're just here to talk it over, the four of us. Philadelphia Fusion against the London Spitfire. Who we got? I'm kind of leaning London here, because Fusion, a bit uninspiring to me. But maybe that changes in a mechanical skill Kiriko Echo Tracer meta.
We still don't know if Zest is eligible to play.
We don't know.
Or if he is going to be able to play.
This is the best. This is the worst matchup we could possibly go with first.
Yeah, if Zest, that's the big thing. To meta-wise, I'm kind of even on both these squads meta-wise.
Same.
Because like I think theoretically, if the meta were to shift, I think London would probably still be fine, because I think like Hottie's Winston is solid. I think their rush is like rush/dive type of style is like not bad for London inherently. You probably get to keep playing Sojourn with Sparker, and then like you have Backbone that could bust out like some whatever shit, And then I look at Fusion, I'm like, yeah, I think they're overall pretty decent. They've been pretty good this year. Like, they've been pretty decent. But that's been heavily reliant on the strengths of, like, Zest and Im3, And I don't know what the fuck Zest's status is. So, like, why it feels... I'm just going to also make an overarching statement. It feels like as time has gone on, we have worked with less and less information about the state of rosters and the meta in the league for each part of this podcast. Like, I feel like I'm encroaching. Like, Bryn always talked about the brain fog. We're literally getting the Overwatch fog, like a fog of war, wrapping around us over time.
It's something that needs to be addressed going into next year. Like, I understand this was a Mickey Mouse year with the beta and stuff like that, but it's kind of ridiculous that we're going into playoffs and we don't have the patch notes. We don't know anything. We don't have information. It's getting a little ridiculous.
The half year of the season, we go live on Plat Chat, and I'm like, I don't know if we can talk about like leaked patch notes or like what's going on. Like, it's just it's just an annoying thing to deal with. Like the fact I don't have this information to produce content for around the Overwatch League because we don't have the information accessible. It's very frustrating. So completely agree there.
Yeah, because I don't want to just have to like literally rely on like obviously there's a fun thing of like, oh, Scrimbucks versus not Scrimbucks and blah blah inside information, but like it feels silly that like we're essentially like we're not really discussing anything based off like we get to a point where instead of it using like our own insight or intuition, it's just we're regurgitating insider info, which is like not, to me, not very interactive. But
it's just not fun, right? We're not here to give you perfect information. We're here to give you our opinions, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like so like because anyone could fucking just, but that's besides the point. Okay, but overall I'm personally, if Zest plays, I'm gonna rate Fusion. If Zest doesn't play, I take London. I think it's a caveat. It literally just depends on the status of Zest.
I don't know what it is. I don't like going with the Fusion here. I don't.
I think London's going to come out and force rush, and I think it might work against Philly, but I don't think it's going to work in the long term. And rush. Yep. They just forced rush in a Zarya Lucio Baptiste meta.
I think they could definitely do it.
I think that's defensible. more defensible than forcing Rush into wasting
I
Kiriko.
think this is going to be a pretty poor meta for the London Spitfire because I think Hardy on Winston is definitely nowhere near their strength. I think that putting Landon or Khan onto the Kiriko is going to be not as good. Their dive in general just has not been that strong. All of a sudden, you have Backbone who's probably forced onto Tracer, or they're going to have to play Shax on the Tracer, which is good, but they have not looked as good when he is in the lineup compared to Backbone. So I think London is either going to die on that hill and potentially struggle. And I think if they go toe-to-toe in that meta with Philly, they're going to lose, or they're going to force a rush, which might work against Philly. But I'm not sold on it.
Here's a meta take, right?
A meta take.
We don't know the patch notes. The teams don't know the patch notes. London's going to force rush because when they log into the server, they're like, oh shit.
Oh, that's just false.
These are the patch notes. Oh fuck. And then London's going to force rush. No one's going to be able to get used to the fucking patch because they don't know what it was, which is definitely not fucking true. They definitely know what it is, but
they only have 5 days to practice it, like properly.
Yeah, that was more my kind of that's the more sane argument from my end. Yeah, I think if London do end up forcing rush, I think it can work against teams like Philadelphia Fusion because they haven't had as much time to practice on the patch that is going to be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So if they're going to win, they're going to win right here against the Philadelphia Fusion.
Yeah.
I think regardless of how if Zest is kind of eligible or like whether he's playing or whatever, I think London actually stand a pretty damn good chance. I think it'll be a fairly close game. But then also, if you think about theoretically what people are playing, let's say it's, what did we say, like Echo Tracer, right? Echo Tracer, Winston, Kiriko, Lucio or something?
Who knows?
The Rush, yeah, who knows? The Rush, holy fuck. Like I try and isolate one target on that comp, it's almost impossible. So it could also just absolutely flop because they can't get anywhere near any of the players on the other team. So it's going to go one of two ways, I think. I think London are either just going to fucking roll, or if Fusion end up playing this theoretical meta on that patch, then they also might destroy London if London want to go for that rush mirror.
Yeah. Is this based off like you think? So also, I think we have to decide like how strong do we think Rush would match up into a Winston? Like, because I don't think it would be nearly as good in this meta as it would Zarya meta potentially, just because of the fact that like you're much more able easily to isolate.
You can lock down somebody.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
And you can't. So like, I don't know.
I think you can isolate.
It could work on certain maps. Like I think on like certain 100%. Control maps, I think you could definitely have an advantage, but I don't think it'll work on like push. You know how like Rush is being. I think the Winston comp will just navigate around you like so well that it'll be very hard for you to win.
I agree.
Like,
I just don't think. I'm not sold that like Fusion will come in with perfect execution and deal with the Rush. That's what I'm worried about.
I think it's going to go one of two ways. They either Fusion run rings around them, or London Spitfire literally just roll over them like a steamroller. I don't think this match is going to be close.
Yeah. So,
but then if I knew the fucking patch, I'd be fucking.
Custa's going with Fusion. Me and Jaws, we're leading London. Avast, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll go with London.
I also had Fusion, so we're tied.
Shit!
Flip a coin.
Yeah, flip a coin. I have a coin. I'll get my coin.
No, flip a coin. What? Who's who?
No, I mean it could. Heads is Heads is London.
Heads is London. No, screw
you can't see your coin, Jack.
We're moving into
the.
We
don't know if you're cheating. We don't know if you're cheating.
Heads is London. Here we go. Tails is Fusion. Heads is London.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Freaking heck.
Freaking heck, dude.
All right.
I could see, but the thing is, I will say I'm not going to underestimate London because I don't think they're going to guaranteed force the rush. I think they have like Hotties Winston is shown to be capable, and their backline shown to be capable, and they still have Sparker getting to play whatever. Like I think they could potentially roll out and be potentially decent on.
All right. How many maps?
So
2.
Honestly, I'm gonna be real. I think this is. I don't see this being. I see it being a map 5. I think it's a map 5 myself.
I'm on with the map 5.
All right. 3-2. There we go. Cool. Hangzhou Spark against the Shanghai Dragons in a Kiriko meta. What do we think?
Dragons. Easy. Give me a 3-1 Dragons, bro.
Gushu and Shai. Alpha Yi.
It's really hard.
On the back line.
It's honestly really hard because it really comes down to how good do we think Spark are going to be. I'd rather see the Shanghai Dragons succeed, and I think that it's more likely. But there's a world in which Hangzhou is just better than Shanghai in this meta because Dragons have been so hot and cold lately.
They have been, but if it's a Winston meta and Fate comes out on the Winston, they have even been playing with some Winston when that hasn't necessarily been the meta like last stage, for example. So I could see Shanghai Dragons just being very polished on Winston, and maybe like I just feel more confident in them.
The thing I feel least confident about in the Shanghai Dragons is if we do end up in like a Tracer meta instead of the Echo meta, then Fleta hasn't been very good this year in that regard. So it really comes down to what they end up playing. But I think Shanghai is probably the right choice.
Yeah, I feel like so too. Yeah.
The right choice.
How many maps? 3-1?
Make the right choice of us.
I mean, well, so here I'm gonna propose the thing that's been interesting to me about Dragon Zone this meta. Hello Kitty, is Flood has been kind of meh. Flood has been kind of meh. You know, like what's Who Are You's Echo looking like?
I wouldn't say.
I cannot answer
only
these questions
Genji.
for you.
Yeah.
I do not know the answer to these questions.
No, that's the thing. It's like I don't know. Dragons are they're mystical to me because I think they'd still be overall their pieces are good. I just don't know if I really like their I don't know what Fleta is just kind of like he's been performing pretty mediocre. But I do think Scott's probably right. I think Custa's right in that I'll go with Dragons. I'll go with Dragons because I really don't want to see another stupid fucking meta run at the end of the year. Even though it will be funny, I will enjoy it in the moment. But afterward, it's kind of like drinking. Afterwards, I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be feeling pain. So like, I'll go Dragons 3-1.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Nice. Some pace to the Preds. Finally, here we go. Let's go. Next up, Florida Mayhem against the Atlanta Reign. Florida Mayhem, who have been owning as of recent, dare I say. Different meta though. Someone still on the Winston, perhaps. Checkmate, been looking good this year. But Atlanta Reign, speedily on the Echo, been looking really good for them already. Hawk playing the Winston though. There's some questions about this match. Venom Tracer. One of the greatest backlines.
This is a tough one. I think Rain take that probably 3-2 though.
I'm
it's going to be
Rain
close
too.
Either way.
Florida Mayhem had to, of course, practice less because they play the play-in meta. So
I do think this is like an
real,
exceptionally good meta for Mayhem if it's like a Winston Kiriko meta. I think this is like actually one of the best metas they could have.
Yeah.
Like Hydron's been looking fucking incredible. Like someone on Winston, Majed like
Lucio.
Busting out like a Kiriko. Yeah, and
I think they're gonna play. I think they're gonna play RuPaul.
So
I think they'll play RuPaul. I think RuPaul's been a more consistent. It really comes down to who's probably better at Kiriko, which we're not gonna see. But I think RuPaul this year has been more consistent and better.
No, RuPaul has a really RuPaul. I think RuPaul is I think RuPaul's a very intelligent player comparatively, but I think Majed just has like actual like dumb brain mechanics.
Seeing into the Matrix kind of moments, you know.
Like he just has like ridiculous mechanics. So like I'm not sure, but safety's sake, you would probably go Rain. But here's the thing. Here's the thing about the Rain. They've kind of fucked me over this year with with their placings, and like they are in playoffs though. They are in playoffs. But I'm beginning to hope. I'm beginning to hope Mayhem 3-2.
I feel like going with Mayhem here is just so much hopium and recency bias. They have to deal with
but hear me out. If we're in a Winston meta, do you want to see Hawk or Gator play?
Oh yeah.
Hawk will be serviceable
because Gator's not been playing, so.
But do you need it to be more than serviceable at this point, right? Like, because I think in this meta, I think Winston's going to matter a lot because I think it's going to be very easy to die, just fuck up.
But I think that Speedily and Venom is one heck of a damage combo I prefer over Hydron and Checkmate. I think if Atlanta's had more practice in that. Animo versus OG.
Animo's been good this year. Like as someone who was the resident Animo doubter for the last year or two, he's actually had a very good year. So I will give him that.
I also think you're underselling how good Hydron's been recently
in
comparison to that matchup.
Yeah,
Hydron's been really fucking good. And I mean, Checkmate literally just perma farmed his way through play-ins, by the way. So
I think you guys are very high on the Mayhem here, and I understand, but it's a different meta. And I think you guys are underrating the Atlanta Reign.
No. Here's the thing. I'm not even making my thing entirely off of if I was being smart about it, I would pick Rain.
Yeah,
but the thing is, Rain fucked me over.
Smart.
But Rain fucked me over with my Preds. Fine, you know what? Fine, I'll do the smart thing.
Make better Preds.
That's what I'm trying to do by getting rid of the rain. But okay, fair enough. I'll vote. I'll vote rain. I'll give rain. I still want it to be map 5, 3-2.
Yeah, map 5, 3-2 rain.
3-2 rain. Yeah, 100%.
All right. I'm gonna take a lot of shit if Mayhem wins this one. Oh god.
You are. You
I'm
really
putting
are.
myself on the line. I believe in the rain here. All right, even with Hawk, Winston, you can do it. Toronto Defiant against the Houston Outlaws. One of the most played matchups of the year because they always seem to play each other in the playoffs. Here we go.
It is one of the most matches of Overwatch.
Houston is like an anomaly, right? Because we talked about this earlier. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I think they're a good team. They're in the best spot they've probably ever been, and I think this meta's gonna suck ass. Sorry if I stepped on you, Avast, but yeah.
No, I said I just don't. That was it. I literally just said I don't know what the team's gonna be. I was just adding to your general.
Yeah, like it's like I genuinely have no idea what to expect because if we are in a hard Winston meta, it is unrealistic to expect Dante to play Winston at that level, right? But you never know, right? Especially because there's probably no way for even if they saw the writing on the wall, Dante can't effectively practice Winston because in ranked. You can't really play Winston that well. Like, you just get beamed down by Isaiah and you just lose. So I think it's going to be hard. So I think if we do end up in a hard Winston meta, they will have to play Doge. And I think that it's nothing against Doge. They just haven't played as well. And, like, I think it's going to be hard to call this rookie player up who has, like, no stage experience to play in the playoffs against some of the best teams in the world. And then Pelican, Genji's not meta anymore. So it's like maybe if Echo's meta, he'll feel more comfortable. But Tracer has not been a hero that he's been that good at this year. And he said himself he would rather play Genji suboptimally than play Tracer when she's hard meta.
I mean, Pelican's going to be Echo, right?
But that's assuming that Echo was really good. I don't really understand how this Echo works because I think it's pretty hard to heal an Echo as Kiriko.
Okay.
Like,
still follow the target, but it takes a while to get there.
And if the Echo is taking like an angle and stuff like that, like, yeah, obviously if you're in a good spot, you can heal. But like, I think it's going to be inconsistent healing, like compared to like a Zenyatta or an Ana or something like that. So I don't know. I'm not sold on the Echo. I haven't heard anything about that. I actually heard more about Reaper, which I think made more sense.
Okay. Yeah. Look, we're all just speculating. We have no fucking idea. So everyone is aware of that. If you say it's Reaper, I'll fucking believe you. If you say it's Reaper, I'll like, okay, I'm all in.
I think on maps which are more linear and that kind of stuff, I think Reaper would be quite good because Kiriko works really well with Reaper. Your Suzu works with very well with how Reaper wants to play the game. And I think you can do a lot of great healing. You can follow the Reaper around. All that type of stuff. And remember, Reaper also did get the spread change in the last patch, but we didn't see that impact be played at all in this most recent meta. So maybe the meta of Houston finds a way that they can play the game with all their players on comfort heroes. But
so regardless if it's
meta, do we think Winston will be then there too?
Well, I think the Reaper is there to sort of stop people from playing Winston probably in a way as well.
Yeah.
Like it's like. But then, like, maybe that forces... As I said, we're just fucking throwing shit at the wall. Maybe you'd play Diva then at this point.
Here's what worries me. Regardless if it's Echo or Reaper, if it's some kind of Kiriko dive, the execution of Kiriko dive as an Overwatch player is going to be difficult. It's going to be not your typical on us pumping heals and then noning you in. It's not going to be like leave a Zen Orb on a Tracer and then you dive with the Tracer with the Zen Orb. Like,
maybe like Lucio Brigida, don't you think? It'd be kind of like that.
Kind of,
but with more
but
damage.
That's also not like your typical dive comps, you know? That's like Jungle Queen comps. But so like, what I'm trying to say is like, if you're a team that has had the chance to like study and VOD review and practice this type of dive, I think you're going to have such an inherent advantage versus Toronto, who literally wrapped up play-ins like 2 days ago playing Zarya meta, and now they're like, hey, dive headfirst into Kiriko dive, putting Twilight on Kiriko, and you guys are going to do great. Yeah, sure, Muse, amazing Winston, really good tempo Winston, but it's hard for me to see one of these play-in teams to just like pick up this Kiriko dive and just like play it really well into these teams that have already had another week of practice on it. That's how I feel. So I have limited faith in Toronto just coming in just like, yo, this is our shit, and just beat down Houston. That's sort of how I feel. And so I'm leaning Houston. That's to say.
I agree. I think Toronto's not going to be that good. I think it's 3-1 to Houston. Even with all my complaints of Houston and like my fears for that team in this playoffs, I think Toronto is not going to be that strong.
You also have asked 3-1 Houston. How are we feeling?
I don't know, man. It depends on the fucking meta. This is like the match that depends most on the meta.
Also,
bro.
Houston just went like 0-2 in their most recent weekend, but like they probably didn't give a shit about those matches, right? So it's like Toronto just beat Houston, but it's like, can we really take those results in perspective at all? Like, not really, because it's a different meta.
I don't fully get behind that take. I will be real. Like, they don't care as much. Like, I definitely understand.
Do you think there's a world in which they were scrimming Kiriko instead of playing Xayah in that week leading up to that match?
Yeah, I mean, most probably, right? I mean, you'd be hard pressed to not find a reason not to. I still want to say Toronto, but yeah, I think. But I feel like Outlaws is such a coin flip, man. Like, it feels so strange to.
Oh, like Toronto isn't?
They're definitely gonna fucking win. Yeah, but while that is true.
Well, not for Jaws. He has 3 of them as role stars.
Yeah.
I do, yeah. That's actual real though. Real facts. It's hard to say because I want to fully trust in the Dante process as well, where they're going to get in and Dante is going to continue to perform like he has been, which is kind of like pounding. He's an exceptionally good player. But if we go into a meta where like Winston is viable, is he playing Winston? I don't fucking know.
It's important to remember, like, all the heroes that Dante has been very good at this year is Doomfist, a hero that was completely reworked, and Dante had a lot of experience playing already. Junker Queen, a completely new hero, and then Xayah, a hero that a lot of DPS had already had a lot of experience on already. Yeah. So it's like he has been great and very flexible as a tank, and that's impressive. He has not been able to pick up like a main tank hero like Wrecking Ball, Winston, or anything like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So if that comes in, and that's why if he could accomplish that, it would be remarkable. But I'm not sold on it.
Can you do a coin flip?
No.
No.
I'm not coin flipping Toronto for you.
Dude,
maybe like a weighted die, but I won't do a coin flip.
A weighted dice. Okay, bro. I don't know. I don't want to pred this one.
All right.
Too dangerous.
There you go. Houston 3-1. Here we go.
I didn't get the pred. I didn't pred.
Okay. Well, what would you like to pred, Mr. Prince?
3-1 Houston.
Thank you. Amazing. This is the hardest part of the bracket. Now we have to predict who these 4 teams are going to be picking.
This is actually the problem with the brackets. Is you have to guess who's going to choose who.
Yeah.
It's the problem with the bracket, but not the format, because I do enjoy the picking. We like the picking. But if you're going to make a play-in bracket, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You just assume the highest seed picks the lowest seed, right? I mean, that's always the safest bet possible.
Kind of. Like Dallas. Right. I mean...
I think Dallas picks Shanghai.
You don't think they pick Outlaws?
Why?
No, I think Rush has a bone to pick with the Dragons, and I think he will pick Shanghai.
Damn.
I would think that Fuel... Yeah, I'd pick the winner of Fusion Spitfire.
I'd say Philly.
That's what I would pick.
All right. That makes the 3 of us. Sorry,
especially because if Spitfire wins that, Fuel's gonna be like, oh fuck yeah, we get to play the Rush team. Like I don't know. Like to me, it makes sense. But Dragons, it's very anime.
If I can't sell you on that one, the San Francisco Shock picked the Shanghai Dragons. They have a bone to pick with the Shanghai Dragons.
I actually think so.
What are you saying?
Oh, Shock are second
that one
seed,
I can
right?
believe because Shock will actually
next,
pick. Shock seems like they just throw out picks to like just chat on people sometimes, so I can actually believe that.
Yeah. More reasonable than the Fusion one, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
No, the Fuel one. Yeah.
They haven't put who's the actual seed here, but I think it's Dallas.
It's Shock next, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Dallas, Shock, then Glads, then Soul.
Yeah.
Soul is last.
All right. Soul is last.
Yes, that's what it says on. Yeah, either one, Johnny, is fine.
All right. Atlanta, Houston are remaining for Gladiators and Soul.
Gladiators, I feel like Glads would probably pick Outlaws, right? Yeah. You'd pick Outlaws over Rain.
The hard thing is about this is that it's probably a lot of these picks are probably going to be determined off of watching the matches, right? Like of like who looks the worst and who do we think is playing. Yeah, scrim results is always going to be a thing, but like that's still things that we can't determine, right? Like of like who's good and who's bad in this matter. For all we know, maybe London's playing Rush and no one knows how to beat it in scrims, right? Or maybe London's playing Rush and everyone knows how to beat it in scrims, right? Like it's such a high variance. I don't know. I think Gladiators would probably pick Houston.
I agree. This is the stupidest part of the stream, so I don't want to linger on this for too long.
Let's just go.
Let's talk about, cross this brain. But where does this cells fealties lie? I don't know. Anyway. All right, so Dallas Fuel versus Fusion. I think we all
3-0.
have Dallas. 3-0. Just want to get on with it. Fearless Winston, maybe?
Yeah, why not? I'll just give it a 3-0.
I think it's going to be a hive mind meta, so I think Dallas is going to be good at that.
Give it 3-0.
Okay. Seoul, Atlanta, Rain.
Ooh, that could be spicy, honestly.
No, I'm giving Atlanta a map. I'm not saying it's spicy, though.
No?
No.
Okay.
I think Dynasty
Seoul definitely
are going to
win.
be scary.
100%.
Yeah.
I think Dynasty are going to be scary, and I think they're going to be... I think in this meta as well, they're also going to be just kicking their feet up in the air, clicking their heels together. They have Iris on this team now.
So you're still selling that Iris trade?
I'm still selling it, man. I'm still selling that trade. I still think I think actually, so yeah, I think Dynasty 2-1. I'm fine to give that. I'm fine to take that 2-1 for Dynasty.
People are referencing some OWL videos in chat or something where they ask the players who they wanted to play, okay? Just because you want to play someone doesn't mean that it's a logical choice to put your life on the line and play the other team, all right?
Trust me, Johnny knows.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you. San Francisco Shock is the Shanghai Dragons. Spicy one right here. If it's a Winston meta, is Kalush going to be good enough, or would you see Mikey Winston for the Shock?
I talked about this on stream. Even if we're in a Winston meta, just play Kalush. Like,
Agreed.
Mikey's map win rate this season, it's like, I understand he was signed as the main tank. They just look worse when he's in the lineup, regardless of everything else around it. Like, I feel like they just have had more success with Kalush. I think at this point in time, you go with that, and you just go with the Kalush Winston, personally. And I think it really comes down to how good Shanghai is. As we said, they've been so hot and cold. They could be really good in this meta. They could also, like, I feel like every time we've had like a completely hard new meta, Shanghai feels like they're a little slow to react to it at times, or like it gives them a week to lean into it. They don't have that time to like just drop a couple of matches in the APAC region. So I'm more confident in the Shock, especially because they probably have more time to practice. They haven't had to travel over this last few days. They probably have more experience with Kiriko. Finn's probably going to be nuts at that hero. Like, I'm going to go Shock, but I'll go like 3-2.
Yeah. I think for some of these teams who have very mechanically skilled damage and support players, they'll get away in these early rounds by having maybe not the best Winstons. Where it really makes a difference is like the last 3-4 rounds. If you have like Fearless versus fucking Dante on tank, like that's where you're going to see like the difference. But I think a lot of these teams, like the Shock, for example, I think they'll get away with Kalush or Winston, for example, if it's not like the best in the world. I think they'll get away with it. So that's how I feel about it.
I'd be on board with Scott for that 3-2 Shock.
3-2 Shock.
I could see that.
Avast?
No, I think Dragons wins.
Ooh. Okay.
I mean, I just haven't been as big on the Shock outside of off-tank metas compared to most people. And also, you're going into a hard Lucio meta where Violet Lucio is going to potentially be... Like, his Lucio's been fine. Would you describe his Lucio as, like, amazing this year? I think it's been top tier, but not amazing. I think Lucio is going to be a really key target you can isolate in Kiriko dives. You can find him a lot. If, like... And you've compared that Li Zhigong and Izayaki, like Finn, I don't think is going to necessarily be a liability, but like, I don't know. I rate Dragons pretty, and also I think if Fate gets to come in and play full time on Winston, and Fate has traditionally been like a key aspect to Dragons being insanely coordinated because of his shot calling. Like, I don't know. I rate Dragons.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that,
so I would have Dragons winning.
Fleta hasn't looked the best at some points in the season, but like you put Lip on Tracer, Fleta Echo, we know he can play Echo at a really high level. And maybe it's Reaper, maybe it's Fleta Reaper, like fucking, I don't know. But like the best version of Shanghai Dragons is still like top 3 material for this tournament, I feel like. The best version. Are we going to see that though? That is the question.
Yeah, it is dependent on Fleta a bit, but I think the rest of their pieces still, the current rest of their pieces in a meta like that are better than the Shock pieces overall. Now, they're not better like individually, like obviously, but like overall, the pieces are better for a meta like this.
Yeah. And I agree with that. I think on paper, Shanghai should be better in this matter. I'm just... Something about it just hasn't sat... Like, the whole Shanghai season just hasn't sat well. So that's why I think I'm predicting the Shock.
Yeah, maybe it's a lower bracket scenario for Shanghai. I kind of feel the same. I think Shanghai are going to be good, but I'm favoring Shock slightly.
I think the slower start for the Dragons will probably hurt them.
Sorry?
I think Dragons starting kind of slow in new metas does hurt them, and has historically hurt them too.
Yeah. I feel like you can never count them out, especially after that Wrecking Ball comeback last year, which we all remember in the June Jazz finals. Was sick. Gladiators against the Houston Outlaws.
Gladiator is going to be sicko mode, bro.
Gladiators. I mean, it should be.
I'm gonna just tell it to you now. In my bracket that I did, I have Gladiators winning the whole thing.
You do?
Yeah. I think after seeing the meta, I think it's going to be very good for the Gladiators. So I have Gladiators going 3-0 here.
How do we feel about that Happy and Kevster damage duo going into this event? Of course, Kevster, like top 2 DPS in the entire world, can play it all. But if Happy is not playing long range hit scan, he has a good tracer. I think it's, better than average. Do you think it's enough to compete with the top teams? Obviously, you do, Custa. So, like, you're not worried about Happy's flexibility at all?
I think they can play Tracer Echo. I think they can play Sojourn Tracer. I think they have a very flexible DPS lineup in a lot of ways. I think Reiner looked very good with his coordination on Tracer Winston. Like, go back to thinking of Reiner, Kevs to Tracer Winston in the past. It was flawless. Like, the way that they dove was, like, incredible. I think Kevster has been, like a runner-up MVP on that hero. And then we have Funny Astro able to play Lucio. It's probably going to be a meta of Lucio that Funny Astro will thrive as well. And I think Shu, we talked about him being up there as a candidate for one of the best Kirikos just on the way that he plays the game. So it's like that like before going into making my bracket, before I thought about this and recognized what the meta, I wouldn't have been as high on Gladiators. But once I sat down and thought about it, I was like, actually, I think Gladiators are going to be sick. And we know that they've won 2 stages already this stage. We know their coaching staff is good. Like, I don't see many holes in the Gladiators going into this.
All right. Here's where I give a bit of a hot take. I'm throwing some cold water. All right. I don't think Funny Astro necessarily has had his best season on Lucio. I think we give him a lot of credit, and he had that one incredible Ilios map, for example. But he's had some questionable sound barriers throughout the season. I don't think he's had like the most comforting decision making at times. And sometimes when I watch the matches, like the Gladiators, like sometimes Funny Astro, like he either dies or like throws a sound barrier, which I don't fully agree with. So I don't think that that's like necessarily a strength for the Gladiators. I don't think it's going to be their downfall at all. Like Funny Astro, great Lucio player, but I'm not like, oh, he's heads and shoulders above other Lucio players like Vindime or
Can I counter that point?
Sure. Yeah, you're the main support main. I'm just
Kickoff Clash. When we were playing a Winston Lucio setup, Funny Astro was the best Lucio, I think, in the league. I think he won the NA. He was very good at that style with the Winston Tracer Lucio, what we're about to go into.
Okay.
I agree with you that he played badly in a Jotes meta, because I don't think that is inherent to his style of Lucio, where it is very just you're playing on the ground, you're moving your team around, you're not playing aggressive. Because playing aggressive in those situations genuinely got you killed more than it actually helped, because you were the most isolatable target. So I don't think that's going to be as true in this meta. So that's why I said I think it's Funny Astro's meta, because I agree with you. I think he struggled in the Summer Showdown.
Okay. All right. I'm not going to push that too far. I'm going to leave it at that. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. I've made mistakes too many times in my career. I'm going to leave it at that. All right. Small disagreements. That's all. Okay. Gladiators over Outlaws. 3-1.
Yeah.
3-0.
I mean, I'm pretty confident giving it a 3-0 or a 3-1.
I would say a 3-0.
I'm fine to give it a 3. I agree with Scott. I agree with Scott here. Like, I think Glad should be very good in this meta. Like, their flexibility maybe is like a potential downside, but it's not something that's going to take them out of like insanely top tier. It just might hurt them as they play against some of like the best teams, type of thing. But like, I think they're built for a meta like this right now.
All right. Let's start with the lower bracket matches before we get into the upper bracket continuing. London Spitfire against the Houston Outlaws.
This would be the most Houston Outlaws match to lose.
Oh my god, if they lose this one, holy fuck, dude.
It would be.
Jesus.
My heart really wants to give that to London. Really does.
I could see it. I could definitely see London winning this one. Not out of the realm at all. Like,
if based off this bracket, London should win this one. I'm going to say it. Based off this bracket, London wins. Based off the bracket we are building right now, London should win this.
Why? What do you mean by that?
Because I think London are just going to be the more cohesive team based on this bracket, right? I feel like we're currently building Houston like it's going to be Doge Houston in this bracket. And I think overall, I will kind of rate London overall as a team more than Houston in that instance. unless Doge comes out and like we've only seen one match from him, right? And he was on high ping. So you can't ever really characterize a player or a team fully after one match. It's just not possible. But based off the data we have and what we've seen from London all year, I would just have more faith in London. So
hasn't London historically done very poorly at the playoffs? Am I thinking of that right?
Yeah, they actually have. They've not done great. I mean, they were reverse swept by London.
But they generally lose to like Mayhem's their kryptonite.
Houston Outlaws is just not going to be their kryptonite.
Outlaws is not their kryptonite. Well, no, it's because isn't it like they always I'm thinking of Defiant. London always beats Defiant. That's who they beat.
I think London Spitfire is the funny pick. I think it's funny to like mess around with the idea of Houston going out in the first round. But I think if you look at the whole season, like Houston, they are the better team. Okay, they have Merit and Pelican. I don't see them. Like, I feel like we would discredit the Outlaws too much if we were to pick London winning here.
I feel like we have to trust them enough to be able to like they have their weaknesses and we've isolated their weaknesses, but we have to trust them enough that they will find a formula that will be good enough to at least beat London.
All right, if we have faith that Outlaws are going to figure out the issue here with their tank, because like that's the thing. I have no, if this is like still the meta with like Dante's in the tank, like everything's synergized, I'm like Outlaws win this, no question.
Yeah.
But like it's just like a coin flip. But like if we're gonna go with that angle, then I will agree with everyone and put Outlaws.
Yeah.
Map 5 banger. Merit goes crazy in the last map.
Yeah.
That's reasonable. Yeah.
Sounds good reasonable. To me.
And you know, there's also a universe in where like London Spitfire, they go on a bit of a run and they like upset like two teams. So I don't want to make it seem like London Spitfire, they got like dominated in the playoffs. Like I think I want to give them some credit. I think there's a chance that they come out on whether it's Rush or whatever, and they actually like throw some of these teams for a loop who necessarily aren't putting off the greatest execution.
I would love for them to run Rush. Honestly, I think it would be fun.
We have them here playing Houston and I guess Philly. Yeah, so like a team like Philly, like I could see London just like coming out playing Rush, and Philly are like, these guys play Rush. Like what the fuck? What's going on? And then they win. So. Or I could see London, you know, maybe they'd play Hardy Winston. Like they've been decent, but I don't think they're better than Houston at like playing that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we have London going out first. All right, Houston Outlaws 3-2. Shanghai Dragons against the Hangzhou Spark.
They're done, bro. They're done. Get them out of here, bro. Get them out of here, man.
It's funnily enough, I think it's exactly what you just said, Johnny. I think there is a world in which Hangzhou goes for a run, but my heart of heart doesn't want it. Because it's just not going to feel good. Like, it's not going to feel good if Hangzhou is knocking out a team like Shanghai in the first round because, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like they deserve it. But I think it's going to be a good meta for them.
3-0.
Can I ask for
no,
a couple
it's not a 3-0. No, yeah.
What?
Hangzhou Spark looks unbelievable. We're like, holy shit, Hangzhou Spark, they're online. They take like a 2-1 lead. We're like, oh my god, Hangzhou Spark are gonna defeat Shanghai Dragons and kick them out. And then they just like push, collapse. We got control. They feed, collapse, disjointed, spawn camp. I don't care what it is. Hangzhou Spark.
And then they play Rush in the final round.
Somebody goes away, like in the middle of things. Bernard, I don't know. Someone comes in. Fucking.
He's in. He's gonna play Diva.
They change the main support middle of the series. I don't care what it is. Hangzhou Spark. They get a lead and then they just
was Shanghai Spark the first match that they played? Yeah, it was.
Fuck.
We're going again, baby.
God. That'd be terrible.
That would be sad. Terrible. That would be sad.
Yeah,
that would be truly storyline ever.
Especially considering we already started out like where we already have like only 1-8. We haven't had that much APAC and A matches already.
Oh, dude, that would suck ass.
Their history this year is 3-1 to the Dragons.
Yeah.
And two of those series have been 3-2 in favor of the Dragons, and then the other two were 3-0, one for the Dragons, one for the Sparks. So take that with what you will.
Yeah. Oh well. Dragons 3-2 over the Spark. Next up, Atlanta Reign against the Florida Mayhem. Wait.
Is this another rematch?
Another rematch! You gotta be kidding. Oh my god.
That's good.
Florida wins.
No. They come back.
Fuck. I mean, so typically, I will say this. Typically, Actually, I think it's kind of true for both these teams, right? Haven't they typically gotten better with more matches, more reps?
Florida have, yeah.
Atlanta have historically had great lower bracket runs. Florida have this year, like straight up these stages.
So this is kind of like a clash of the lower bracket titans.
Oh wow, what a storyline!
They have the most reverse sweeps this season, tied with the Shock.
Now, granted, aren't like a lot of them on London, right?
Couple.
I didn't ask that. No, I didn't.
I think a lot of them are though.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just
so good.
Johnny, come on. Wouldn't it be funny?
Oh yeah,
it would be funny.
It'd be very funny. Haha.
Very funny.
But not in okay. Yeah, I'm not selling.
Just
no
put
one's
it.
buying
Put it.
No one's
Put
buying
it for the joke. 3-2 mayhem. 3-2 mayhem.
No.
Let's do it. 3-2 mayhem.
Do it.
Put it up.
Come on, Johnny.
Moving on. We got Toronto Defiant taking
No!
on the Philadelphia Fusion.
No!
I can't do it. All right.
When this happens, I want a clip of this. When this happens, remember that Johnny was a doubter.
I am a
and
doubter.
Johnny hated.
I am a doubter. All right. I feel like a lot of people are discrediting the Atlanta Reign. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah,
I think Atlanta Reign. There's again talking about the different dimensions and worlds and fucking how many universes there are. Time traveling. Atlanta Reign, they could be top 4 this tournament. They're a playoff team. They have fucking great damage line, great support line. Okay, maybe not Hawk Winston. Never mind.
The Hawk Winston, speedily Echo. If Echo is meta, as you're saying of us, and speedily's able to take the helm on that, he's
he's gonna go crazy.
Speedily Echo is nasty. It is McNasty. That's very true.
I'll be the downer. I'm sorry, but I gotta predict Atlanta Reign. All right,
that's fine.
This one's fun. HESEUL going up against the Philadelphia Fusion in the lower bracket.
Roll Star, baby.
Roll Star.
It's time. It's time, Fusion. Lose the Defiant. Disappointed into the season. It's time.
No, this is funny.
No,
it's time.
no. There's no way Toronto wins. Toronto is not going to win.
What the fuck?
What is the upside of Toronto right now for you? What are you being sold on?
Actually, okay, whoa.
Roll Star and HESEUL. They got Muse, bro.
Just because
Muse
you voted for them as Roll
Winston.
Star doesn't mean they are Roll Stars.
No, but their backline, I find their backline better than the Fusion backline.
Absolutely.
I would say Muse
versus
I wouldn't necessarily say Muse is necessarily
is good.
better.
Being good.
Bellistree is good. Yeah. I would say that's like equivalent. I would say they're kind of equivalent, honestly. And then you look at DPS
and Finale.
Did you just say although?
I don't know about all
this channel,
although
let's be real. It's going to be Finale and HESEUL.
The Fusion DPS line is definitely way better. Than the
way
DPS
better.
Line. The Fusion
Even
DPS
with
line is
Carpe in the
definitely
lineup.
way better.
But I think Carpe in the lineup.
Even with Carpe in the lineup, I would rather take Carpe over Finale on Tracer.
Oh,
absolutely.
God,
yeah, absolutely. After seeing his recent
dude.
stuff, I think get him off hit scan. He's fucking done. Okay, MN3.
I feel like you're kind of underselling Finale.
Underrating Finale.
No,
Finale
I'm a Finale fan. Honestly, I was a big advocate for him playing for the Toronto Defiant, but I just am not sold on the Defiant right now. Like, I really am not.
No. I mean, I agree with you mostly because I feel like their DPS line has been exceptionally weak. Comparatively, Fusion's DPS line has been pounding. I think the rest of their supporting cast, though, I would say Defiant is either equal or better.
Oh, yeah, their support lineup is just way better than Fusion. I think, okay, here's my thing. The linchpin of Philadelphia Fusion being Toronto Defiant is if Zest plays. If Zest plays, then I think Philly beats Toronto.
Well, we can't make a binary pred.
But
right?
they haven't said he isn't gonna play, which I think he's gonna play.
I think he'll play too.
I have no, because like if you're a player, you play through the pain, and he doesn't have this big ass cast on. He has braces, right? So I think he'll probably be able to, and it's in his left arm, so it's probably his keyboard arm. So they probably just weren't playing the regular season matches with him because there's no point in stressing that out. But
I think overall, Fusion have been pretty good and consistent throughout this year. The meme wants me to vote against Fusion for the meme, but legitimately, aside from like a couple examples, Fusion have legitimately been pretty good in APAC.
Especially in playoffs even.
They've legitimately been pretty good. So I think logic should dictate that Fusion should win this match, but I'm willing to give it like a 3-2 even, because I think the supporting cast for Defiant is good in this meta. But I think I actually can't clown on Fusion because they've actually been pretty good this year in APAC.
They have a negative regular season record, but they still qualified because
they did. But the thing is, like, they're still like
it's praise, like the tournament points because they're good in tournaments.
Yeah, they always show up in tournaments. Like they really do. Like they've pushed like a bunch of these teams to the edge.
Okay, you guys vote Philly. Let it be known. I said Toronto to find. Let it be known.
Jones wants a clip too.
Etch it into the
Everyone
stone.
gets clips. Woo!
Yeah, you get a clip. You get a clip. Everybody gets a clip.
Oh, you're right though, Joss. You're right though. I think it's a coin flip, but not one of those coin flips, but like coin.
Not one of those ones. No, it's a good one.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So,
This is good.
all right.
This is fine.
Fusion.
This is fine.
Fusion 3-2. Yeah. Fuck, I don't like that at all. Actually,
And there's no way Toronto is better than Philly. Like, what are we doing here?
They shouldn't.
This is
one of the legends of the sport.
We do not have Hotber, who's able to just fucking giga chat through the lobby.
Muse is a great
backline's good, but I don't think that's going to be as important as having a
Muse is actually good.
When was the last time Muse played?
Doomfist.
When he randomly played Doomfist and you decided he was good?
Like,
Like,
it's like riding a bike, bro. Like you get on that shit and you just play.
didn't Muse get benched in the kickoff clash?
No.
On Winston?
For what? Because Winston wasn't good enough?
Yeah, isn't that what happened?
Bellastria's best hero is Wrecking Ball. It's not even Winston.
Fucking play Wrecking Ball, Bellastria. Do it.
Oh my god.
I think Defiant could win the match. I think you're underrating them, but I also think overall the Fusion DPS line is just so good comparatively to Defiance throughout the entire year.
Yeah, you think so? Okay, all right. All right, Fusion.
I think Defiance DPS line has consistently been one of their worst parts. Yeah. Aside from like when Hisu or Finale,
when Hisu
Finale do occasionally
on,
they show up. They do occasionally show up.
He does go crazy when he's on.
They do go crazy. Like they clearly are talented. Hisu is still good.
Yes.
Finale has his moments for sure where he pops the fuck off. It's just they just are kind of.
I think we're in recency bias hell right now with trying to find. That's where I think we're at. Wait, one second.
They just got third at the Toronto LAN,
and now they had like no practice time.
They lost to Vancouver Titans and Florida Mayhem in the most recent tournament, right? Like, and now we're like, but yeah, like they're just so inconsistent. Like that's the thing about them. They also beat the Shock and fucking Houston Outlaws. So it's like.
Yeah. Okay, Johnny's moving it on.
Johnny's fair. Move me along.
Elimination round two.
Yeah, get me out of here.
I truly apologize for like hurrying people up and interrupting and like, you know.
No, it's fine.
You gotta do it. You gotta do it.
We're 2 hours, 10 minutes in, and we've done like 2 rounds of the bracket. All right.
Okay.
So
next elimination round 2. Rain Fusion.
As a friend, I deeply apologize for interrupting. It's inappropriate. Anyway, now would be a good time to insert ads. No, I'm good, YouTube. Thank you. No ads. Don't worry. Atlanta Rain against the Philadelphia Fusion.
Atlanta Rain. I'll give it to the Rain.
Yep.
3-1.
I think this is playoff Atlanta. I think this is where the dream ends.
All right. Avast, yeah.
Okay. I'm in for that.
He's in.
In for it.
He's all right. Here we go. Spicy upper bracket. Dallas Fuel against the Seoul Dynasty. I'm going Fuel. I think they're online.
Ooh.
Fearless on the Winston. I think
that's such
the
a
Echo,
fucking
they're gonna pop
banger.
off. Seoul Dynasty. Maybe just a hint of like mid-season Manos like playoff disappointment in the Seoul Dynasty here, and then lower bracket run perhaps for Seoul Dynasty.
No,
I'm not feeling the
No,
Seoul Dynasty upper bracket
Seoul
domination.
Dynasty wins this.
I think Seoul Dynasty win. It's going to be a fucking banger, but I think Seoul win that.
I'm in.
Yeah,
Seoul,
I do.
listen.
Seoul win.
They've got me, man. They got me. They those motherfuckers boomed me, and that I believe in them is the problem. I believe in this team. I think this is a good meta for them. They've had a good year. I'm believing.
Prophet Tracer, Smurf Winston, very epic.
But is Prophet gonna play the Tracer though? Is Prophet gonna play the Tracer, or is he like gonna play the Echo? Do you think it's like Prophet Tracer fits Reaper? Maybe.
Yeah, again, it kind of depends what the DPS meta is, right?
They got a Smurf, like I mean, their backline, like
backline's super
that is what
good.
worries me.
I mean, it's just
Fearless. I guess you could say Fearless has been, he's only had one chance really in one stage, but like he's not been.
I'm gonna say I think Smurf clears Fearless.
Okay.
I agree. Just with the amount of playtime that he's had over.
Yeah, the playtime is just next
over
level.
Fearless is insane. Yeah, it's insane. I would take Seoul. It will be a giga banger match, and I think the score won't reflect how good it is.
Kiriko
but I think
comparison.
It might be a 3-1.
Fielder versus
I mean,
Iris?
I think Fielder Iris is a good matchup. I think they're both great players.
Yeah.
So
Pretty even in that matchup, I think.
yeah, I'm not gonna give it. I wouldn't really give anyone necessarily like a huge advantage. If anything, I would actually think that like I might. No, I really can't. No, I really can't. Yeah, I think it's just a good matchup. They're both fantastic players.
Custa.
He's gonna say it.
I think Seoul Dynasty are gonna win.
Oh,
Let's go! Let's go! Smurf heads! Rise, Smurf heads.
Dallas fans, before you start typing, Kaka always hates Dallas, he's so fucking annoying. Shut the, first of all, shut up. Second of all, this is going to be a close series. And I don't, it's so hard to really know where people are. It's just, when you have Smurf on his most comfortable hero playing the Winston, and like you pair that with like Prophet and Fitz, like I think their dive is going to be so good. And yes, Dallas Fuel have Fearless, but they have actually not looked as good playing Fearless and the Winston dive this year. They have looked at their best when Hanbin is in the lineup. And that's sort of like the thing that is just nagging at the back of my head. I feel like Seoul Dynasty is going to be very comfortable. There is a world in which Dallas just shows up and they just flip everything and they could be the best team in this tournament. We're talking about inches between these teams with things that we can't even quantify, right? So my heart says Seoul Dynasty though.
Yeah. Let's get it. I think 3-1 maybe, or 3-2. It's going to be
I'm going 3-2.
close.
I hope this game's about. I like literally. I hope all of these top upper games are 3-2.
I don't think Dallas loses 3-1 in any matchup. I think they're the best team in the world on push. And I don't think. I think
that's a good point.
I think they force control
fair.
5th map. So
Fair. All right. Very fair.
Seoul Dynasty 3-2. Whew. I don't know what it is, but I feel like Seoul Dynasty is more of a lower bracket team than Dallas Fuel. But all right, there we go. Shock Gladiators, another banger.
Yeah.
There's only good matches from here on.
This, Johnny, just reiterate that fucking point. This actually might be the best playoffs in recent memory. Like, good
it hasn't even happened yet. We don't know.
I know.
There could be a fucking fire emergency in the arena. We'd have to play them online or some shit. We don't even know.
Speaking of which, do you remember that World Cup? You weren't casting World Cup. Holy shit, that was funny as
that clip.
fuck.
That clip came up again in the Overwatch
did it?
They doing the Saudi Arabian match and the fire alarms going off, and I'm just like, we gotta go. Like they're telling us to go. We have to leave.
So good.
So yeah,
legendary Overwatch clip. Yeah, but yeah, this playoffs is a fucking bang.
The match is gonna be good for sure. We'll be replay viewers enjoyers after the playoffs.
Yeah, seriously.
Right. Shock against the Gladiators. Who we got?
Glad's probably, yeah. I think they just clear, bro. That fucking lineup is crazy.
I give Shock a map.
On this meta, yeah, I want it to be a 3-2, but I mean, this meta, holy fuck. Well, we don't know the meta, but presuming.
This is gonna be crazy. This meta's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Dude, we can't fucking say shit, but like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know the fucking patch, but like, or like the meta kind of comps right now, but what we've been speculating, holy shit, Glads have every fucking tool in the shed. God damn.
We gotta apologize to all you listeners. We've done a lot of screaming. There's one special podcast, taking a dog for a walk and just like endless screaming from guys in their 20s. All right, Gladiators. 3-1. Over the shop.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I'd be happy with that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Okay. Let's move on to the losers bracket. We got Houston Outlaws taking on the Shanghai Dragons. Wait. No one. We're good.
This is where the Outlaws run comes to an end. 3-1.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. Yeah,
I could even see this being a 3-0, to be honest with you.
It really comes down to how both these teams are playing.
Yes, depends how good and what's the tank situation in Houston. I'm happy with that.
We've already discussed all the teams. We're just flying through it.
Oh my god! What the fuck?
Oh, what's going on here?
Holy shit!
Let's start with the bottom first. San Francisco Shock against the Atlanta Reign.
Oh man, dude,
That's
this is another one where it's like if Atlanta beats Shock, and I wouldn't be surprised. Like it would make no sense, but it would hurt me.
Atlanta.
I don't think the Reign have. I don't think the Reign have this year though have actually shown any follow through.
Yeah. Well, they haven't shown. Was it Kickoff Clash? They had the follow through.
I
think. Let me have a look.
third place, right? They beat Shock, I think.
Yeah, Atlanta came
Dallas.
third. They had that crazy
you're right.
upper bracket run where they beat the
You're
Shock
right.
actually in the upper
Yeah,
bracket.
it was kickoff clash. So they've had one instance of follow through that this year.
Yeah.
One instant.
Do we think Shock then?
I think Shock.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't feel it as much.
I mean, the roster's still goated on Shock side, right? So it's kind of hard to.
We also don't
I'd
know
say
how
like
Atlanta's going to be. Like, there's too many questions around Hawk Winston, I think. Like,
Sure.
I'll give it to Shock. Yeah, I'll give it to Shock.
Also,
That's fair
totally wouldn't be surprised to see Atlanta win this one either. But I think I'm leaning Shock. You know, even if it's 55, 45,
Yeah, I'm
or
leaning
60,
Shock.
40. So
Go for it.
3-2. 3-1.
sure. I think it'll be a banger.
Why not?
Yeah. Why?
Throw it out
I
there.
think it'll be a 3-2 or 3-0. Like, I don't think there's an in
Oh,
between.
interesting. Okay.
All right. In the match above it. Oh my God. Hashtag only
A
bangers.
classic.
Oh.
A
The
classic.
classic. El
Bangers.
Clasico. Dallas Fuel, Shanghai
All right,
Dragons.
I gotta get a little bit of clap
Damn.
back with Dallas. I'm going Dallas.
I like that a lot. It'll be a close game, 3-2.
Here's the one thing I'm interested about Dallas though. I'm gonna say. So like what is their support lineup like, or I should say their DPS lineup? Is it gonna be like? I'm assuming Edison plays in some capacity.
Yeah.
I would say Edison Sparkle almost.
Sparkle? Edison Sparkle
guaranteed.
probably.
Oh, okay. This is straight out of the rumor mill. I just fucking remembered. Someone came into my chat the other day and was like, again, this could be absolute crap.
Someone in my chat.
Who was this
I
person?
know.
Just a random Twitch chatter?
I know. No, it's someone that's like they flit around like all of ours at least. I know that for sure.
Okay.
But
So
I
it's still a
can't-
Twitch
fuck.
chatter, but
It's something I told my Twitch
Look,
chatters when they
a
came in.
local Twitch chatter was talking about this, but they said apparently Doha is playing Kiriko, which is like the biggest like.
Well, he's probably just playing it because he's not going to play in the playoffs. Like, Fielder's a good player. Like,
yeah, Fielder's very good.
That's what I'm saying.
Fielder beat the is not mechanically gifted allegations a long ago, and people were like, Fielder can't play Zen. I'm like, that's so fucking wrong. You're so
That's-
wrong.
that-
Fielder
yeah, that is
is the most
bullshit.
underappreciated flex support in the league.
Yeah, he is very, very good.
Yeah,
I-
he certainly been that.
I'd be along
not
those
sure if he
lines.
said it
But like,
more, but
think about that shit for just a microsecond. How ridiculous that would be if Dallas Fuel come out with fucking Doha on Kiriko.
hey,
Remember, caveats.
I can
This
see
was
it.
from a fucking person in Twitch chat.
Wow.
Just saying.
I can't
I
believe
could
we're
see-
giving
I
the
could see
platform
it.
to YouTube chatters. Yeah, I'll say I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. If there was a betting site and there was like a prop bet where it was like, are we going to see a damage player on Kiriko, and the over under was like 0.5. So like I would bet that we see at least one damage player on
yeah.
Kiriko. I could definitely see that happen. Even if it's like backbone on London or something, you know, like one damage player on Kiriko.
Just a projectile player. on
Anyone.
Damage.
I could see it.
On a support even, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Let's go back to this.
That
this
take
game. I
might also
remembered
just
that.
mold like severely for next week, and we don't see any. And you know,
Could
people
be.
are like, "Why the fuck would we do that?" And you know, that could also be the case. So who knows? Anyway, Dallas Fuel.
Fuel 3-2.
I could also. I think it's very reasonable that maybe like Shanghai go like full Terminator mode and just eliminate the Dallas Fuel from the playoff bracket. But leaning Dallas Fuel. All right.
3-0. Put 3-2.
Oh yeah,
No
sure.
fucking way
3-2.
is it
Yeah, sure.
3-0.
Let's put
Hell
3-0.
no.
Yeah.
3-1 maybe.
Yeah.
Push. No. 3-2. Okay.
No, I'd say
I'm
3-2.
I'm still undecided on Dragons because I feel like they have the potential to like go big, but I think
It could.
historically Fuel have been a safe pick for this year.
I'm
So
going. 3-1.
I'll go Fuel.
I'm going 3-1.
Okay.
Dallas Fuel against the San Francisco Shock in the lower bracket.
Fuel.
Jesus Christ.
Still,
They got
Yeah,
Fuel.
just the hive mind mentality from Fuel is kind of ridiculous. So, yeah.
I think the Shock will have to show me something special to see them go further than top 4.
Yeah, I agree. I just don't right now. Like I just don't.
Yeah,
this
it's-
is a
it's
team
been top
currently
3.
where I'm like, I rate them
That's top 4.
big, just not. Yeah, it's top,
top
4.
advance in the top 3.
Oh, yeah,
sorry.
yeah, no,
Just
yeah,
the-
yeah,
my
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
This match is the top 4 teams. Yeah. So
Yeah, they just don't. They currently just don't feel like they have the oomph to get into that like that winner circle right now. To me,
Plat Chat, can you please quit abusing the premiere future? We're live, motherfucker. All right, we're not premiering some video.
Call
We're
him out.
live.
Fuck that guy.
All right.
Hey,
Come
yo,
on.
what the fuck?
what if we were premiering something at the same time? Can you do that? Can you be live and premiere a video at the same time?
Probably. I don't
Right,
know.
you can do that.
Yeah, you
That's
can,
Tim the
yeah.
Tatman. Anyway, sorry, distraction. Dallas Fuel against the San Francisco Shock. Something special for Shock to reach top 3. Dallas Fuel.
3-1.
3-1.
Dude. Yeah, there's no
Give him a
shot.
map, you know? Give him
yeah, I would at least get a map.
Yeah,
At least get a map.
I don't hope we see his little number of 3-0s this weekend. You know, usually there's some matches which I'm like, you know, I'd be fine if this was a quick 3-0. This whole playoffs, I want us to stay there till midnight. I want to be there all day, every day.
I don't want to drive home at night.
Leave the venue and just like, I need a beer. It's 11:30.
Yeah.
3-1. I'm feeling the 3-1 here.
Yeah. I think 3-1.
Okay. Back to the upper bracket. Seoul Dynasty against the LA Gladiators.
What a fucking banger. Dude, this is grand finals right here. This is actually the grand finals right here.
Finals. Just blind you.
Huh? What'd you say?
This is upper finals.
I know, but it will be grand finals.
Okay, well, Jack's getting ahead of himself.
Well, real.
This is top 4, battle for the top 2. Slot into the grand finals.
Yeah, these guys are top 3.
Yeah, I know, but then one team gets knocked down and then they'll go into the grand final. You know what I mean? They go back in, bro.
It's time. I mean, it's time to say it. Smurf heads rise.
No,
Smurf heads rise.
I'm leaning Seoul. Out of these,
Smurf heads rise.
I'm leaning
Smurf heads
Seoul.
rise.
Yeah.
I will only allow. Okay, here's my caveat. I will only allow us to go Smurf heads rising now if we give the Gladiators a lower bracket run.
No, I'm
winning
gonna
the
go
Yes,
Seoul
no,
Dallas.
100 fucking oh man.
No, I'm going for the Omega Clout. I think Fuel quite clouded. Omega Clout. Glad
That is the
Dynasty.
clouted.
That's
Glad's
an Omega Clout.
Dynasty.
That's an Omega Clout
Okay,
final. And let me tell you, Glad's lower bracket run, I'll allow it.
You know what, actually, I just realized as well, with all 3 of these teams, it'll be the first time, if we do get to this final 3, I don't even care who wins because we will see a new team win a playoffs, right? Like, and we will see a new team. I think for all of these franchises, it would be a really fucking cool story.
That'd be cool, yeah.
That
And
said,
think of the clout.
Smurf heads down, Gladiators up.
Smurf heads rise up, baby.
Smurf heads.
I'm
rise.
on the Smurf train. Yep, Seoul
heads
Dynasty and Gladiators making a lower bracket run. Absolutely.
All right, I'll give you the
allow
upper
it.
bracket. I'll give you the upper bracket, okay?
Yeah.
You can have this one.
No,
I want
3-2.
it.
It's got to be. These are
3-2, it's
giga
gotta be
bangers.
Yeah, these are
Giga
bangers.
bangers.
Hashtag only bangers.
Yeah.
Dallas Fuel, LA Gladiators. I'm going with the Fuel, baby.
No,
Gladiators are
you
up.
can-
I'm going with the Fuel, baby.
Oh, man. I am conflicted though. I think Fuel are so fucking.
Yes.
I've doubted Fuel, and
Same.
they proved me wrong significantly, like multiple times. Like I've also believed in Fuel, but like there are a couple key points where I've doubted them, and they really have been still so good. So
I think this is where the weakness of Fearless finally gets got. Like, I think, the dive of the Dallas Fuel finally gets dissected. And I think the DPS diff is going to be here in true form. I know Eddie's been having some crazy moments, but Happy Kevster, I think, is going to take him to the promised land. I need some backup here. Johnny doesn't look like he's going to change his mind. Johnny looks like he's sold on Dallas.
I don't feel, okay, like, I don't, this is gonna, fuck, you can, I'm trying to think of how do I say this in the least, like, volatile way possible. Like, just like fucking buttering bread instead of pouring gasoline into the fire. Like, I want to see, like, Happy perform in, like, a top 4 team environment and, like, super playoffs. Because, like, what? He was been part of Washington Justice. Before that, the Houston Outlaws, Guangzhou Charge. Like, he won the 2020 Summer Showdown. Like, I'm not sure Happy could step into a damage duo of just 2 players and no flexibility. Like, you have to flex into this lineup and, like, start beating, like, Sparkle, Doha, Edison, Profit. Fucking, like,
Hex is going to fucking roundhouse kick you the first time he sees you for these playoffs.
No, but I'm not saying that he's not good enough. I'm not saying Happy's bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just trying to implement some, like, caution. You know? Like, I'm just trying to be like, are we sure that Happy and Kevster is, like, the fucking best thing since the wheel, you know?
No, but that's not what makes the Gladiators the best. I think it is very good, but the thing that makes the Gladiators best is I don't think you can look at a single one of their roles and be like, this is a weakness for them, right? Like,
We
I
said
think
that about the backline in Jotes.
yeah, but that was Jotes. Like, we can all agree that the Gladiators just sucked ass, like, right? But even at the end, you talk to all the coaches, everyone who was saying it. People said that if the Gladiators had qualified for the Summer Showdown,
That's true.
Gladiators probably would have won it.
That's
because
true.
they said at the very end, when they started playing Space on that Junker Queen, apparently they were one of the best teams to scrim.
True.
Glad's 3-2.
All right.
Glad's 3-2. Avast?
And I hate down. I hate down in fuel because they're so good. And Tasmo always gives me so much shit.
Get into your DMs, right?
He always gives me he shows up in the Twitch chat too, and he gives me so much shit. But like, god damn Glads, like they're just
so good.
I'm giving it to Glads. I'm giving it to Glads. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. I'm giving it to Glads.
Sorry, Taz.
Sorry, Taz.
Someone clip this. Someone clip this. I went with the few.
We all get one.
There's so many clips. Think of all the shorts you could put on the Plat Chat YouTube channel, bro.
True.
The best grand finals that we will ever have in this series. Gladiators.
Oh, I thought you meant like in the history of Overwatch League.
Might happen.
In the history of the Overwatch League, this will be the best grand finals. Gladiators gonna clear 4-3. Prophet pulse bombs himself in true fashion in map 7.
No way.
Smurf heads
down. Gladiators rise.
I think it's Soul's time. I really do.
Oh, no!
I think it's Soul's time. I think it's Soul's time. It's about that time, baby. It's about that time. Soul.
Smurf heads!
Yeah.
Smurf heads, baby. Give me the Soul 4-3 gigabanger.
Yeah.
Give it to
Absolutely.
Smurf heads rise. Down with Hunter Gay 6. It's Soul down.
Now, if Glads win this, I will not be sad.
Someone in chat just said Prophet deserves a grand final win. He already won one. You know,
he's already won technically. He has won.
Smurf's won 2. Come on, give it to the Glads.
But if Glads win this, I will not. I don't think anyone here would be upset, right? Like, if Glads win this, like, this is not be shocking.
Holy
I'm happy if Soul, Gladiators, or Dallas wins, honestly. Like, I think they all deserve it, and I think they'd be a great story nonetheless.
I'll even take it one step further. If any of these teams, Soul Dynasty, LA Gladiators, Dallas Fuel, Shock wins, I'd be happy because these teams fucking want to win it. Like, they just like invest like fucking money into their rosters and trying to compete and trying to make the most of rosters. As long as someone who's fucking investing money, pouring money into the Overwatch League space.
Are you saying that it shouldn't? Well, then that means Defiant should win. In my opinion.
Hey, if they get top 5,
shut
up. Better than average. Top 5, yeah. All right. No, they're not here. Okay, never mind. All right.
Didn't we put them out first round? I think they went out first round, right?
They did not have a good run. They did not have a good run.
No, they're out first round.
No, they
had a pretty bad run. They had a bad run.
Anyway, grand finals, everybody. Grand finals. Oh, dear.
Anyway, for Smurf fans, hey, there we go.
Hey.
All right. So there you have it, our entire bracket. Soul Dynasty first, LA Gladiators second, Dallas Fuel third, Shock fourth, Dragons, Atlanta Reign 5-6.
Dude, this playoff's gonna be fucking crazy.
Yeah. Let's hope.
Actually crazy. God damn.
Wow. That bracket goes hard. All right.
Yes.
There were a few more questions here. So just quickly on these questions. I've already asked you guys so much, and we got a long episode here. Quick questions. Do you think APAC, like theoretically, is there any chance like they play a little bit worse because they're traveling and like jet lag, or like jet lag would be over at that point? But like, is that something you factor in at all, or do you think it's like fair and square, like all teams are there, it's totally fine? I just want to get that narrative like out of the way, you know?
I don't think as much as it sucks ass that the teams are going to only have 5 days to practice, the way that they have done it has mitigated that fact by no one has been able to scrim effectively with the Kiriko patch and the patch that we're playing right now. So therefore, I don't think APAC will be as affected. Yes, jet lag is a big thing, but usually the biggest issue with traveling is the fact that you lose those days in practicing leading up to an event. And I don't think they had that.
Like the PPAs again, right? So like they're going to be utilizing PPAs where like the teams, you get like X amount of time to practice, so you don't just get to like show up and like free practice, you know? Like
I thought every team had a proper practice room which they could practice as much as they want.
I was told that they're doing PPAs again, but maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe I misunderstood.
You might know better than I do.
Honestly, I'm not sure exactly, but I mean, either way, if they both have that option, so like it's so fine because North American teams can like stay at home and practice till like, I know for Mayhem at least, they're traveling on, they're gonna get there on like Friday or something, and they'll just chill, and then they'll like have a full day to like do stuff, and then Sundays, like, you know,
Saturday will be they'll probably have content day on Saturday.
Media content, and also like whatever practice they can fit in, etc. So like, but also up before that, they're like practicing nonstop, right, until they travel. So like all the North American teams will have the time to practice before they leave. So and the APAC teams have already been there they're already there like now. So
they're already there now.
Yeah, they just
today,
arrived.
yeah.
So like I think this is like seems like it's set up to be a pretty solid. Like there can't really be too much like travel shit blamed on anything at this point, in my opinion.
Agree.
All right. Great stuff, guys. Very insightful there. Yeah, I'm very glad you shared your opinion of that. Second of all, dark horse picks. If we had to pick one team out on that bracket that like maybe surprises into the top 3, who do we think it is? So
Into
our candidates are
3?
Yeah, into the top 3, surpasses like either Gladiators, Dallas Fuel, Gladiators or whatever. Our candidates are, I'd say, for dark horse, like Atlanta Reign into the top 3, Shanghai Dragons into the top 3, and there's
Dragons
like
a dark
Fusion
horse
Spark.
though.
Yeah,
maybe not.
They're like the cheapest dark horse, they're definitely the thing. I'm gonna go with, and I hope this would happen because it would actually be kind of wild if the Houston Outlaws, if they went on a run, I would honestly be down for it because they are very talented players and they're fun to watch. It just feels like it never happens. Oh, Spark's a good shout from chat as well.
I mean, I think Spark's like an obvious dark horse.
The ultimate dark horse pick.
The ultimate dark horse candidate. I'm going to propose. I'm going to do it one last time. Propose a dark horse. This is a dark horse, though.
He's on the payroll.
Not someone
Before he says anything, no, he's on the payroll.
No. You don't think I'm about to switch up?
You're gonna
I'm
go
about to switch up real fast. I'm going to go Toronto.
Yeah.
There's my dark horse.
I fucking know.
There's my dark horse. Is Toronto. Because I think their sport line is always good. I think Mew's getting to come in and play Winston. I actually think is going to be big for them. And like their DPS line, it has had good moments, had bad moments. They could just show up if they have a good moment. Then like honestly, things look good for them. So we'll see. We'll see. But I think Spark is probably the best dark horse pick for like, they have all the potential to like fucking own if the pieces all work together. So
I shouldn't have asked this question because now we're just saying shit. Want to define?
True.
Whoa, what's going on here? All right.
But the thing is, the more realistic, my realistic dark horse is Spark. My like, holy shit, dark horse is Defiant.
All right. All right. We appreciate that. We'd like to see the Spark succeed, or maybe we wouldn't. I don't know. There you have it. That's the entire playoff bracket predictions. Holy shit, we made it. 2 hours and a half with skeptical patch notes, unofficial leaked patch notes. Well, it would be hilarious if they just dropped the patch notes and it's like nerfed some heroes to the ground. There's like Kiriko.
It'd be so funny if they just like left Zaya, like exactly how she was. That would fuck with everything.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think some people are looking forward to the worst take of the week award. This week we don't really have any because there was only 4 teams participating in the play-ins, whatever. So couldn't really get any worst takes. If you spend time writing comments trying to bait us into picking your comment, well, get fucked. That's your time wasted. We don't care. So no worst takes this weekend. Instead, we'd like to highlight Wistful Radiance, who we brought onto stream, who says, I'd like to formally sue Plat Chat for defamation and crimes against my dignity. The inexcusable actions of these punks have dealt irreparable damage to my identity and public image. Last episode, I was mocked, ridiculed, and insulted beyond forgiveness. My comment against Dante Soria was not fabricated and was made way before I caught that I appeared in the podcast. But even then, it was obviously intended as a joke. As one may know, I'm a Hanbin simp as they make them. And Hanbin utterly skill gaps. Insert your favorite outplayer here. Your goal was to run my name through the mud and dehumanize me. Congrats. You did it. I'm left physically broken and psychologically deranged. I hope you're happy now. This is a meme post made in good faith. I don't think that's a meme post at all. Hanbin still clears all your open division looking ass MVP candidates though. Wistful Radiance will be in touch. In a few hours, you'll be receiving a direct message, not from me, but actually the Plat Chat lawyer from Plat Chat LLC. These allegations are something we take very seriously and we'll be dealing with it in an official manner behind closed doors. We hope to cooperate with you and reach a deal privately on both terms that are mutual and we can agree upon. We think you should go get fucked, but we will nonetheless negotiate with you, Wistful Radiance, because your takes are awful. So there you go. Also, they did though. I looked into when we did our survey onto this user as well. Ignore
call it discovery in legal. It's discovery.
Discovery works. Yeah. That phrase exactly. That's what our lawyer said. They did post a thread. What's your on your 2023 Overwatch League wishlist, which is kind of a nice thread here now. A lot of it was like LAN, please no online matches, and split regions. If I had to guess, I think we'll see split regions next year. But there was still some good stuff here, like don't play on LAN, or no, play more LAN rather.
Don't play on LAN.
Let's make it
Don't play on LAN, everybody. Fuck LAN.
Enough of it.
More LAN matches. So
Yeah.
That's epic.
yeah, there was some good stuff here. I'm sure we'll talk about what's your Overwatch League wish list. Ourselves.
That would be a good
off-season.
episode, actually.
After the season, yeah.
Yeah.
After the season. So we got a long off season. I'll be cooking up more questions like,
Don't fucking
Who's going
speak
to
it
be
into
the
existence, Johnny. No, it's going to be the shortest off-season ever. It better be.
Yeah,
Shortest
Better
off season yet, please.
I mean,
Please.
I don't care how short you think the off season will be. There'll be time to discuss the roster moves and additions
yeah,
and subtractions
definitely.
and wish lists and.
Oh no, baby,
theoretical
we're starting a week
nonsense
after Grand Finals. 2023 season, we're jumping right back in.
Look, man, we gotta far more ad density, okay? We gotta put out some episodes. So I'll need some cooperation from you guys, and we'll get some episodes out. To end the episode, we'll not be doing a Brent's Player of the Week this week. Instead, I'd like to just quickly utilize the platform we have here on Plat Chat, the incredible community and the fan base we have, to shine a light onto something very tragic that happened this past week. As you may have seen, Josh tweeted that he lost his little brother to suicide, and it's obviously very sad. And we're thinking of Josh and his family and supporting him best ways we can. I'd just like to use this platform quickly at the end of this episode to promote the various suicide hotlines that exist throughout the world. If you're suffering from suicidal thoughts, please reach out and talk to someone, whether it's utilizing one of the hotlines or speaking to a professional. Please reach out to any of your friends or family and just make sure that you're heard. You're not alone in that regard, and please reach out to someone. If you would like to support some charities that help with work in this regard, I would personally suggest AFSP, which is American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. This is an organization that I've done some like research on because I've donated to them in the past after Wreckful tragically took his life in 2020 as well. So if you're looking for an organization that I can vouch for, I'd suggest AFSP, and you can maybe go there and donate some money and help some of these efforts. It's very serious, important work, and I think it's something that I think we all agree on. That's something we should talk about in the open more often about. Plat Chat as a platform, I think we can all agree, whether it's me or Bren or other people involved, that this is something very serious that we care about and we talk openly about. For example, some of us have gone to therapy and we speak highly of mental therapy. I've gone to therapy many times in my life, and I find that very valuable to me. And so it's something I definitely recommend if you're suffering from something like this. And you can reach out to a doctor, for example, and you can get the help you need if this is something that you're dealing with. So no Brent's Player of the Week this time around, but instead I just wanted to utilize the platform and the amazing community we have here to speak about this briefly. It's a very sad situation. And with that, we're just going to end the episode now. And next week we won't have an episode because we'll be doing the playoffs and stuff like that, but we'll be recapping the playoffs after that. So we're keeping Josh and his family in our thoughts, and we send him the best. We're always here for him, and we hope you do the same, and make sure to speak to your loved ones and take care of your friends and family, because life